State Line Dolphins with Jack and Jimmy, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
Nowadays, because we've seen young guys have some success, if you're not successful in year 1 or 2, now if you get put in a bad situation, it may end your freaking career.
Well, everybody's on the clock right away now. Just look at the Miami Dolphins. I mean, Mike McDaniel, congratulations. You're the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. In 3 years, you're going to be gone. Just look at the last 12 to 15 years of Miami Dolphin head coaches. In your third year, you got to start, calling for boxes at Home Depot. And where's my next job going to be? Because that's the reality of the lack of patience in the National Football League.
Everybody that moves to Florida that plays any kind of sports probably became obsessed with golf.
Oh, yeah, for a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
And then you realize you suck.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's like gambling. Like if you win right away, you assume it's going to be easy, and then you don't win the next times.
It was a $74 exacta hit that I split 3 ways with my 2 friends that I was with at Roosevelt Raceway that doomed me. That was it. Although, see, I can't say that. This was in my DNA. If you're a degenerate, is it not part? It doesn't have to run in your family, but it is part of your emotional DNA. I mean, what drives you to, just a complete life of self-sabotage by spending your life gambling?
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of our Degenerate Friday show with Jeff Deforrest, along with Mike Lubitz. Very happy to have you with us here on On Channel. And we have many things working on the program today. Of course, a lot of people zeroing in on the baskets NCAA tournament. And later on, the professor will not only have his big board feature, which I can't wait to see this one, because the man's 4 for 4, right? You would have to say that he was 4 for 4 and looking for a 5-hit ball game. This would be great. I don't know what he's going to come up with today, but to top his psychotic mascots from last week is not going to be an easy thing. That was as much insight as you could possibly get into how to watch the NCAA tournament. Now, it cranks up on Thursday of this coming week, so you have it March 17th, the opening day. They start the games at noon. We already have a prop bet out there for you degenerates, and I don't know which way that's going to go. But I'm assuming, and I had this discussion, I did a little research on this, nice. And I think the thing that you have to find out, I don't know if you know any executives at Spirit Airlines, Lubie, but no. I believe that the Atlantic City Spirit Airlines, Fort Lauderdale Spirit Airlines flight originates here in Fort Lauderdale. Oh, that plane is not coming in from somewhere else. Okay. So it's sitting there overnight. Now, with the fuel prices, does Spirit go out of its way to maybe subtly cancel a couple of flights and save a few bucks? I don't know.
I don't know.
Because we paid next to nothing to fly up there. It would cost me more to drive to West Palm Beach than it will for my share of the fuel cost for the aircraft that's going to take us to Atlantic City, New Jersey. Now, Atlantic City, New Jersey, definitely, I don't even know if it's the poor man's Las Vegas, Lubie. I don't think have you ever been to Atlantic City, New Jersey?
Oh, no. No.
Okay, now, theoretically, you would think that you would really like it because you have a gambling destination that also has a beach.
Nice.
All right? You're walking on a boardwalk. You rarely see anybody actually sunbathing on the beach there, even in the dead of summer. You will see some people out there. The water doesn't look overwhelmingly enticing. It really looks like raw sewage is washing up on the sand there. I don't know. That's sort of typical of the Northeast, where the water is definitely not the aqua blue that you get here. I mean, here in paradise and tropical climates, you get water that is a color which is very inviting, is it not? You're thinking, man, I got to get in the ocean. Jellyfish, I don't care. Call me Diana Ncaa. I'll go in there anyway. Exactly. Every day when I do my walk of life, I walk by a couple of spots where you have a just nice open view of the ocean. And I look out there and kind of size it up and try to decide. And this is not an easy decision. It's I don't even think it's subconsciously done because, do you have a voice in your head telling you, things to do and not to do? Is there a voice there talking to you, Lubie? Because I'm hearing voices at this stage, and I always have. I'm not sure that's a good development either. But there's always that voice, where you have to choose between good and evil. And here we go again with my religious discussion of the other day. I don't know why I'm all hung up on religion here on the show. We should be just talking straight up about gambling. But it's all intertwined and involved and relatable to each other. Religion, gambling. I mean, gambling can be a religion. Religion can be a lot of gambling. Can it not? You're gambling on the fact that there is a God.
Yeah.
Has that been proven? I don't know, Lubie. I don't know that it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Because if there is one, I mean, here's the magic question that any atheist or person that maybe had his or her share of doubts about what religion really was and what it meant would say, if there is a God, how the hell is this stuff happening in the Ukraine?
Exactly.
Right? A normal, some superpower that had the ability to intervene would have intervened a long time ago and said, "Hey, listen, Putin, shove it up your ass." Right?
Honestly.
Something would have happened to this guy. I mean, he would have developed herpes, something that would have preoccupied him and made him think, you know what? I don't have time for this war. I got to take care of my skin. Well, whatever it was. But that being said, as I walk by, and I'll see this open space there. It happens about a little before I get into the halfway point of the walk. I'm looking out there, and I see the beach very clearly. I check the water conditions. Now, my first instinct as a young guy, and this is not easy to do or find, the conditions in South Florida where the waves are conducive to any type of body surfing. Can you really get any kind of a charge, any kind of a ride out of a South Florida wave? Not in this part of town, right? The waves kick up to where they're like a little less than 2 footers, and every guy that owns a surfboard is making a boogie line, just a beeline to get to the beach, correct? You see the surfers out there, and they're just basically sitting out there watching the seagulls. Because there are no waves that you can ride. I mean, you can't even get up on a wave here. You got to go to Melbourne. You got to go to Points North. There you might find some surf. And, at parts of the state, the surf will be rollicking, but not here. That's for sure. So the first thing that, I look at is, okay, are the waves rideable today? Because if they are, I want to take a shot at it. Even though I'm not very good at it anymore. I mean, I don't have the timing that I used to. I mean, we used to ride some fairly significant waves at Jones Beach in New York. All right. I mean, the surf would kick up a little bit there, and, it was a little bit treacherous. If you were timid at all, might have been a good time to stay out of the water and just try to pick up chicks on the shore. But there was nothing like a good session of body surfing. I always loved it. So that's my first thing. Are the waves rideable? Because even if I am not capable of riding them like I used to be, I still want to take a shot at it. So the first question is, do I want to go to the beach or go to the track?
Is that a question?
Beach?
Really question that?
Track. Beach?
That's not a
track. I mean, if I got busted out at the track the day before, that's usually when I opt to go to the beach. Yeah, I think I'll just chill on the beach for a couple of days. But nonetheless, I mean, that's always a pressing issue as you start your day, to gamble or not to gamble, at least for me. And now Friday is already designated racetrack day for me. I'm going to some pari-mutuel facility, probably the one closest to my house, which they have a very nice setup, I would have to say, for the horse player. A few elements there that I really don't care for, but by and large, because of the convenience, and especially since you don't want to blow $40 on a tank of gas now, having to drive around a little bit. And I hate driving on the South Florida roadways during the daytime or at night. So that means I hate driving on South Florida roadways, period. If I can avoid them. I mean, if you have to take, ride somewhere, okay, no problem. But being on 95, the main thoroughfare here in South Florida, up and down, up and down, up and down. That's all you're doing. You're going up and down, up and down. Nobody goes sideways here. Up and down, up and down, up and down. I don't know. Are you still driving a lot, Lubie? You were when we were going. You were, unfortunately, for the 2 years that I was working at home, you were schlepping into the office there, which was basically unoccupied, except for every now and then you would get that dirty look from the program director going, when is he going to start talking about some topical material here?
It's a great question.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
great
still
question.
waiting 12 years later.
It doesn't work. I mean, anybody could do that, right? I mean, as I was talking with the great Jack Namer last night, I had a good time talking to Jack. We met at Vinny's on Lauderdale by the Sea. If you're a tourist out here, good spot. Nice. They have a happy hour. I think I got a check for like $24. I had a couple of drinks, some Oysters Rockefeller. Very nice. Great service outside. Great sightseeing because it's spring break down here. And, he agreed with me, man. You got to be different. You can't just come on here and do conventional stuff. It's the first time you've ever had anybody. Well, no, I mean, a long time ago when radio was in its heyday here, we had people that actually encouraged you to go out there and maybe challenge the parameters of good taste. push it. They call it pushing the envelope in the business,
Pushing
but
the envelope.
unfortunately, they push you the pink slip in an envelope once they figure that you get a little bit. He's about to become an embarrassment, a little bit too risque. So anyway, we have the tournament here. We're in action too, and so far, John Kajemi. I mean, the tournament got busted up a little bit yesterday because of inclement weather. So some guys barely even played a hole. I think there are any number of golfers that didn't even get to start yesterday. Not a ton, but the guys that were out early were killing it, Lubie. Including, and I had two choices. I looked at these guys. I'd have to say, see, I'm honest about this. If it wasn't the case that I actually considered using these two guys, because I love Tommy Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
But he's failed for me in any number of spots. Generally fairly consistent and usually a factor is Tommy Fleetwood. He's from Great Britain, but he's the only golfer out there with a mullet. Correct?
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't seem British.
It's not a mullet, though. And you know what's funny? It's funny to hear him speak because he doesn't sound anything like he looks. Right? He looks like a degenerate hippie that they picked up out of Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. Who, just happens to have a really bad haircut. And, I respect the fact that a golfer is actually willing to let his hair grow a little bit longer than the usual cookie cutter image that you have of pro golfers where you've been to golf tournaments, right? You ever cover like the Honda Classic or Doral? Yeah. Didn't we go to one of those?
Yeah, we did Doral.
Yeah.
Or the Cadillac, whatever the hell they were calling it, that last year that it existed.
Yeah. And remember, everybody looks the same. You can't distinguish anybody.
Yes. Yeah.
You're thinking, that's Freddie Couples. No, it's not.
It's Davis.
They all look like Freddie Couples. Every single guy. I guess Couples was distinct because he had the good gray hair very early on. He went prematurely gray, but it suited him because it kind of set him apart, and he was very distinguished in the way that he went about his business and happened to be a great guy. Freddie Couples was a guy that you could genuinely root for no matter what kind of prick you thought most golfers were going to be. And they can be very standoffish. I mean, look, Tiger Woods, you couldn't look at this guy cross-eyed without Steve Williams, his caddy at the time, longtime caddy, the guy from, I think it was from New Zealand, Steve Williams. But, so he spoke with sort of an Australian accent. And when he spoke, he was usually screaming, "Get the fuck out of here. Don't come near this man." Meanwhile, I mean, that was one of the weirdest stories about Tiger Woods. It was just inducted into the Hall of Fame, and people pay wild homage to Tiger Woods, as well they should for being a great golfer. But was he the greatest guy in the history of the world? Now, yes. I mean, if you were living under that kind of magnifying glass, and microscope your entire life, it might be difficult to be normal. Would you agree with that? I mean, look at Michael Jackson. I mean, please. All right. Now, Tiger wasn't anything like that because at least he was, doing it with, women that were of age, of consent.
Yes.
And, he wasn't coming out of a room mysteriously full of little children, 8-year-olds, and implying that he just liked playing blocks with them.
Of all the Tiger stuff,
yeah,
we haven't actually had any sexual impropriety. You've had indiscretions because he was married and moral.
Yeah. I mean, if he wasn't married and projecting this image of being
nothing illegal. I mean, the drugs,
the perfect guy. Yeah,
the women stuff, nothing was illegal. Nothing. Whatever we've heard, it's all been legal. Just if you're married, it's frowned upon. But we haven't had any actual improprieties.
When he was doing those ads for Buick, I mean, there was no implication there that this guy was just the cheesiest of philanderers.
Exactly.
And that he would do anything that was even slightly adrift from the common image of the great family man, right? And that's what these golfers are all, presented kind of in that fashion, are they not? And let's face it, Lubie, these guys could get babes. I'm not sure who's in more hot demand from absolutely stone beautiful women. Pro golfers would be there. I think the best was the pro beach volleyball guys when they first came on the scene because they're shirtless.
That's right.
And they're all, I mean, there was a guy named Randy Stokelis. You remember this guy? Who wouldn't have wanted to be Randy Stokelis?
I heard the name. Yeah, I know the name.
Randy Stokelis, he was partnered up with a guy named St. John Smith, who was one of the leading volleyball players.
I love St. John Smith.
St. John Smith, yeah. And Randy Stokelis, they were one of the dynamic teams in the early days of pro beach volleyball. When it first came out, you thought, how ridiculous is this? You're going to have volleyball played on the beach by two guys on the side? Right? Boom, 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 spike. Boom, 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 spike. That's all it was.
I loved it.
But it became a TV hit. Why, Lubie? Why do you think? It was subliminal, the whole thing. The reason it became a TV hit was because it had the best babes in the background. They weren't even in the background; they were in the foreground.
I was gonna say, aren't they like on like right around the court? Like they were
Right
very
around the
close.
court, yeah. I mean, there was very close confines. You didn't need a lot of room in the out of bounds area because they're trudging through the sand. I mean, how far out of bounds are you going to go? It's not like you're running into the stands there to make a catch, and come up with some foul ball that seemed like there was no way that anybody could make a play on it. Right, Derek Jeter diving into the
Yes,
stands there, coming over the rail there, and you're thinking, my God, he was within an inch of losing his life. We did lose Derek Jeter. We got baseball back also.
look at that.
Yeah. But the golf, I mean, golfers were getting babes right and left. So the thing that was, I guess, kind of alienated people about Tiger Woods is the same thing with Pete Rose, right? Fans don't like being lied to by their heroes, where you find out later on that the guy was a complete fraud, that everything that he supposedly stood for, it didn't jive with the way that he actually conducted himself and lived his life. And that was the thing with Tiger, right? They presented a tremendous image of him as just the most royal of family men, right? Loved his father. His mother was always out there. Then he married Elin, and it was like, wow, this is absolutely fantastic. My question to you would have been, how did we not know about any of these indiscretions? How was it not reported when Tiger was single, right? And he's had, I mean, I don't know who's had a better cachet of babes, A-Rod or Tiger Woods. There's your poll question of the day. Whose babes
Like
would you
that.
rather be just getting, their sloppy seconds from? A-Rod's?
Very politically correct, by the way. This seems very 2022.
Yeah. Whose babes would you rather have had? I mean, the litany of babes.
It's like Jeter, A-Rod, Tiger, and like Leo.
Yeah.
Or
We knew less about Jeter because Jeter was, somehow the press loved him so much that they were very discreet about not disclosing things that Jeter was doing, right? I mean, they allegedly had just a steady parade of one-night stands with gorgeous models. I mean, some of the most beautiful women in the world were parading, schlepping up and down the elevator there to Jeter's pad, and then he would give them an autograph ball and a bag of popcorn as they were leaving, man. Now, that's pretty cold. I don't know. Have you ever done anything like that? Here, sweetie, here's a picture. Here's my promo picture from my days at WIOD. And, here's a bag of popcorn. It's caramel corn, so you really like it. And now, get the bleep out of here. That was it. Never to be seen again. So, and imagine if you had, weren't there women that came forward and said that they had been with Jeter previously and got the same gift basket?
Yeah,
they just wanted another one.
Yeah, that was his thing. He like had the his bellhop or whatever hand out. He just had here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
See, no, I would have to go with A-Rod because I believe that Tiger threw in a few clunkers, and we met one of them. Remember that woman that claimed to be one of Tiger's, affairs? Came to the studio, and she was like a garage mechanic or something. I don't know what she was. She was supposedly like a stripper.
Yes, she had been an adult star, and this and that, and it was like, was this 20 years ago, lady?
Right, but I mean, this was a woman, not that physical, appearance is everything, but this was a woman that you probably would have passed on if she came up and hit on you at a bar, Lubie. You might have told her, hey, listen, I'm married. I mean, not to demean anybody. Like I say, I mean, you look how you look. Well, what are you going to do? I mean, and everybody finds attractiveness in, different things. I mean, what's attractive to you, Lubie, might, just absolutely repulse me. I mean, it's possible. Yeah. But I like all people in general, and I try not to judge people on their looks. But in this case, compared to like Ncaa and Lindsey Vonn, and some of the other babes that we've seen Tiger Woods with over the years, even after the fact, after the big, bold admission. Remember when he had that thing? He was going to get back into Buddhism. That was actually, I think we just recently had the anniversary. Oh, no, the Hall of Fame induction, what was done, and the speech that he made, I guess, was like in the same place where he did that ridiculous apology. Remember when he had the mea culpa thing going, where his mother was sitting in the front row, and only select members of the press were allowed to come in there. And Tiger admitted that maybe he's a bit of an asshole. And the entire image that he had been presenting his entire life was a complete and total fraud, right? Lost a couple of sponsors, but it doesn't look like it hurt him all that badly. Now,
Oh,
it does seem like save for the incident with the car crash, which was near, could have easily been fatal, and that would have been it. No more Tiger Woods, no mas.
Yep.
It does seem like he's kind of made a little bit of a turnaround, though, in terms of his persona, as he's sort of, I don't think that he'll ever be out of the limelight. I mean, if you see Tiger Woods on the street, you're going, it's Tiger Woods.
Yep.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
And I'm a Tiger Woods fan. I enjoyed watching this guy dominate the game of golf. And it was nice. And he was a person, that would qualify in the NFL under the Rooney Rule as a minority. And you thought, wow, this is great. I mean, all of these white city slickers that have had every privilege in the world can't compete with this guy who's black and Asian. And, has been doing this since he was 3 years old. And you never know if that guy is going to blossom as a professional. Maybe he gets crushed under the, remember Todd Marinovich, right? Crushed under the pressure of having to live up to wild expectations. But no, he did it. I mean, he won 82 tournaments, Lubie. And the one thing that was odd about his career, and compromised by injury, and then this period of time where he was sort of out of it there after the whole Elin Nordegren incident, or Elin Woods, but she's moved on. She's doing fine. What a babe, by the way, huh? Would you say?
So I made that our Twitter poll. I worded it a little bit more politically correct. I said, whose history of dating would you rather have? And I expanded it to Jeter, A-Rod, Tiger, and Leonardo.
Oh, DiCaprio. Get out of here. He's in another category.
They're very similar women.
He makes these guys look like paupers, right?
I mean, A-Rod was with J-Lo. J-Lo's 50 and looks like she's still top 10 ever. Like, they all did.
Oh, no, he had a ton of babes, right? He was with Kate Hudson, a stone babe that's been in a zillion movies. Cameron Diaz. I mean, how many guys haven't had a fantasy about Cameron Diaz at some point in time?
Oh, and Jeter's, I'm telling you, if you look at their list, it's very comparable.
Yeah.
I mean, Eileen, Leo, but I'm just saying, I think they're all, Leo just does like the super.
No, DiCaprio, I mean, he has like the most gorgeous women in the world, and he just pushes them off his yacht. Never to be seen again. And then he's already got another one. I mean, that's the same thing, though. A-Rod's been following that same pattern. Right? He's got this 26-year-old chick now that he's at the Green Bay game with, who's some hot model on Instagram or whatever. This is the new modern thing where they're not runway models anymore, but they happen to have their own TikTok account with 8 million followers.
Well, see, the thing I would say for Leo and I guess Jeter is like A-Rod and Tiger, the women actually did affect their lives, and they'd have these torturous relationships. Whereas Jeter, you never knew he was dating, and like
very discreet.
Leo's done. He's already moved on to 3 women later. By the time you've heard about it, so both.
Well, Tiger's only thing was, he probably saw this Elin Nordegren and realized I got to marry this one, right? Whatever the conditions were. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to get married, and it might be that, hey, look, this woman isn't going to put up with you, banging Rachel Yucatel, right?
Honestly.
So you got to marry her, but then, at the same time, Tiger said he couldn't help himself. He was a sex addict, which, who isn't? Come on, Louie. At some point in your life, you become a sex addict, do you not?
Yeah, you're a man that is having women thrown at you. That's a sex addict.
Sex addict, yeah. Man, who wouldn't be a sex addict if you were Tiger Woods?
Options.
I thought that was a weak explanation there, but remember how humble he was at that thing, though? I mean, all of a sudden, he had just been brought down to his knees by the weight of all of the negative public opinion that was created when it all started with his wife chasing him down the driveway with a 9-iron.
That was amazing.
He was hoping she would play a wedge, might not have hurt so much if she actually made contact. Why was she smashed the windshield? I mean, it was absolutely crazy.
Was classic.
Yeah. But he said he was going to get back to his Zen Buddhism. I will say this. It does seem like in his public image. Now, I don't know Tiger Woods. I've come across him, I guess. I've never really actually met him, shook his hand and said, hey, Jeff Deforrest here. How you doing, Tiger? I loved your career.
Yeah.
And what a cachet of babes, man. I mean, rivals anybody it really did. It rivaled anybody in the history of the world. But he does seem more sedate, more approachable, a little bit more affable in his commentaries, a little bit more open about things. Not overwhelmingly so, but at the same time, he's not on the tour right now. Although still the most influential guy on the tour, and got the $8 million for, and that was an interesting thing that the PGA Tour started, huh? Your ability to advance the game, I guess. And it was called PIP, and I don't remember what the PIP, personal input performance or something like that, right? And they gave him $8 million for being the number one guy. Phil got second at $6 million, and I bet they're trying to pull that
Yeah,
if they can right now after Phil decided that, you know what, I'm signing with the Saudis. What's the new commissioner's name? Is it Monahan? Is that it? It used to be Tim Fincham, but I think it's like Monahan or Moynihan, one of these guys, you know, something along those lines. New commissioner of the PGA. He's been there for a little while. Boy, can he tap dance around issues. I mean, this guy's absolutely fantastic. You ask him a direct question about, and Tarico had a good interview with this guy talking about Mickelson and all these things that are going on. And did you catch his name? Is it Monahan? The guy, commissioner of the PGA. I don't want to leave the people with just a series of vague premises that we're basing all of our opinions on here on the show. But anyway,
and good for you, Jay Monahan. Yes.
Jay Monahan, yeah. No, I mean, very articulate, like a real diplomatic type. Perfect guy to be the commissioner of the PGA Tour. You can see him smoking cigars there. At Augusta National as they go to what's the name of the room again? No, I'm blanking on like basic things in sport. Butler Cabin.
Good for you.
By the way, Frank Fiore, thank you very much. That golf course we were blanking on, that was a local golf course where they started the golf premier card, was Mel Reese Golf Course, and that's where they wanted to build the soccer stadium. I don't know what happened with that. They were going to build a soccer stadium. Beckham was out there, and you talk about
still trying to get money.
You talk about women fawning at your feet.
Beckham
How about politicians? You know, Beckham presented like one of the worst, most ridiculous, absurd premises in the history of the world. We're going to build a soccer stadium on radioactive land. And because it was David Beckham and he was so handsome, all of these politicians, oh, okay, David, yeah, that makes sense. These are people that wouldn't approve shit, no matter how great it was for the local society. And, Beckham says something, and bingo, there they go. All right, so there's your poll question. Who had the better litany of babes?
I put history of dating.
Yeah.
Trying to keep
Tiger Woods, A-Rod. A-Rod's up there, you know.
I'm telling you, they've all done well.
I don't know about nobody. I mean, Jeter, yeah, definitely. And then you can't put DiCaprio in this category, though, can you?
I put him there because I started thinking about the track record of Jeter, and I'm like, if you look at him up to women, it's pretty strong. And A-Rod, J-Lo she must be a lunatic. Like, I can't even imagine how she is to actual.
She falls in love very quickly, though, doesn't she? I mean, you talk about the pinball effect of romance. Huh?
She keeps her exes like on a rotation.
A-Rod's fingerprints were still on her butt probably when all of a sudden she's in bed with Affleck. Come on. I mean, at that level of celebrity, usually, you pace yourself a little bit, don't you? I don't know. I mean, do you go right from one guy to the next? And you're madly in love with both guys, right? She was madly in love with A-Rod. The children are running around Disney World together.
And they were getting married.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. So that's our commentary on the TPC, the tournament that's taking place. Hey, vey. I said I was going to be more focused today on the issues.
Oh, really? Okay. I went out the window really quick.
But I believe Kajemi, my phone crapped out, has no juice, so I'm charging it up right now. And I forgot, all of the guys that John Kajemi picked for us. But he was kicking ass. Now, I thought about taking Tommy Fleetwood. He's 6 under. It's very hard to judge where it's at, though, because the first round really got all disoriented because of the weather. And then it did seem like it was a big advantage. I would think that I don't know if it's going to hold up for the whole tournament because the weather in this Jacksonville area, Jacksonville, Florida area where the tournament's taking place, the Sawgrass Mills course, which, wow, I mean, agua caliente. There's water everywhere. It's great, including the island hole, which was like a piece of cake yesterday, Lubie. Nobody hit the ball in the water until this guy, Harold Varner III. Are you familiar with him? He's a black golfer, which are, I don't want to say that necessarily makes him stand out, but obviously it does.
It does.
A black golfer that a lot of people have been waiting for to have some kind of a breakthrough. And he sort of, flirted with, I don't know if he won a tournament last year, but he was flirting with it a couple of times and had some really good rounds in, big events. And you thought, wow, this guy, he's gonna be pretty good. And he was the only guy. He was like 6 under, and he comes to 17, and his ball. I mean, this shouldn't be allowed to happen. There should immediately become a fence, a little fence that comes up around the green. If you hit your ball on the green, and it's spinning back, Okay, that ball should not be allowed to like land dead center in the middle of the green and spin back into the water.
Yeah, that's annoying. I hate that. That
Come
sucks. You hit a
on,
great
you
shot
had a
with it,
great
you know,
shot.
like, that's annoying.
That's what happened to this guy Varner. So he's in the lead there. He's tied for the lead with Tommy Fleetwood Mac, and he puts a, I mean, I would have been proud of that shot even if it ended up in the water, wouldn't
Yeah,
you, Lubie? I mean, you put it smack dead center in the middle of the green.
exactly.
All right. Now, for the pros, that's not really that difficult because you're talking about like a 135-yard hole.
Yeah.
Wind, I think was, as they say, benign. Lubie, how come they always talk about golf in cancer terms? I
Cancer
was listening to
terms.
some of the commentary yesterday. I guess you run out of things to say and ways to describe the same, basically the same shit that you're watching over and over again, right? Because I mean, these guys are too good. Now the other thing too that bugs me, while we're on the subject of golf commentary, is when a guy says, the ball, a guy hits a really good shot out of the troubleshooting that is made and the way that these guys can get out of any kind of a jackpot on a golf course. That's really sensational with watching pro golfers, is it not? Because you know how it is, right? I mean, you're in rough that's up to your knees and you need a machete to get out of there. And these guys, they always manage to do, for the most part, the right thing. Like, I mean, no matter how impossible of a circumstance they're facing, they're still looking at making bogey, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my favorite is
Where you're looking at a 15 if you even finish the hole.
they'll be in the trees, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
they're screwed. They're like, yeah, tough hole. He got 6. I'm like, 6. I'm like, he was in the trees. I'm like, isn't that at least
Yeah.
3 shots?
Guys hearing jungle birds. Woo, woo, ah, ah, woo, woo.
I'm like, what the hell?
You're like, where is this guy hitting from? I don't know. They can't even get a camera in there. And then he's on the green in 3, and he one putts for a 4, saves par. I mean, like, no, that was, it's miraculous, man. I mean, these guys are so good. And never mind that they're bombing the ball like 360 yards down the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, that's the thing.
With a perfect draw on it, and then snapping the club over their knee because they weren't satisfied with the shot. But no, it's a great course for the tournament. It's going to be raining though again. I think the next couple of days. Is there there's some supposed monster cold front coming that's only going to affect us in South Florida for half an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we getting it?
Oh, like Saturday night, I guess it is, or either Sunday night or Saturday night. It's supposed to drop to like 56 degrees, which for us is, Antarctica.
In mid-March? That's impressive. In mid-March.
Right. But then like that day, the high is going to be 90. Global warming?
Yeah, whatever.
Let's just keep making more oil, guys. That's what we got to do. Let's just keep pumping it, digging. What a Michigan world we're living in right now. That's why we have to turn our attention to the NCAA tournament and gambling. Now, as I was saying, though, I thought about using Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
And I also thought about using I almost got talked into it by one of these gambling sites to use this guy, Rob Zalatoris.
Okay.
Zalatoris, I believe is his name. A young kid, man, and I think he's destined probably to be very, very good and be one of the leading golfers for years to come. But and he was killing it also yesterday. But Kajemi's guys, though, were all doing real well. I mean, he has one guy that is 5 under.
Okay.
Joaquin Neiman he picked. Remember I was saying, who's this Neiman guy? And then I realized it was this guy, Joaquin Neiman, who he just won a tournament. Joaquin Neiman. And he's hot right now, and Kajemi has him, right? And I bet a lot of people don't. And he was 5 under. So the question would be this: is that bet going to? Here's how fascinating it is, because we don't know how long it's going to take him to complete the tournament. And then do they ever just go with one less round? I guess they do, right? If they can't, let's say it rains 3 straight days.
Oh,
do
3 straight days.
Do they declare the winner after 3 rounds? Maybe if they get 3 rounds in, how does that work? I haven't seen that for a while.
Move rounds to like the Monday or even the Tuesday. So, like,
can they make these guys stick around till Tuesday? They have a tournament in Texas like next week.
I know they've done that for big tournaments, but I don't know if it's 3 straight days. What the hell I don't know. That's a good question.
They declare like a 54-hole champion, because if they do, that throws a lot of things out of whack now. And I do believe that the people that went out there now they got guys teeing off at like 6:30 this morning. So they're already out there on the course. A lot of guys, I don't know, I guess it was more like a handful compared to the size of the field, of guys didn't even get to play 1 hole. My guys were all, teeing off late. So, it remains to be seen, what kind of conditions hold up. And Tommy Fleetwood Mac has a nasty habit, unfortunately, of
Awful. I would like him doing.
all those European guys. There are a couple that are very tough mentally, right? The guys that never crack a smile,
I was gonna say who?
very tough, like the big Swede was at one time, Heinrich Stinson.
Well, McElroy isn't. That's for sure.
McElroy's been El Faldo on Sundays, but he wasn't that way a few years ago. He was dynamite. Yeah. But lately, he gets to Sunday, it's a bagel and cream cheese, my friend. You may as well just start shoveling food in your face to pacify your anxiety about the fact that this guy's about to roll a 7, literally, on a par 4. No, so that's a lot of fun. The Tournament Players Championship is going on, and, I love having live action while we're on the air because we've been doing early morning stuff for a long, long time. Lubie and I now 12 years together, zeroing in on 12.
Yeah.
I was thinking, too, nice job you did there. That was phenomenal. Every now and then you should refresh your memory, you're feeling down about the way things are going or whatever. And that 10-year anniversary thing was phenomenal that you put together.
Great.
With like Dan Marino calling in.
Yep.
Pat Riley
Riley
making personal videos. And I was thinking, maybe we did do some good.
Well, that week was great. That was
Maybe some of this stuff makes sense, right? I mean, who had the better babes? Tiger Woods? I like you threw in Jeter. DiCaprio, I think, takes it into another category.
Okay.
Because these are European fashion models and Brazilian models. I mean, that's another category than American girls.
Well, okay, but I'm going off of attractiveness and still level of fame because, I know it's Bar Raffaelli and whatever, but like, if you take the record and all the looks, they all were very, what's her name? Jeter and A-Rod did great. And when you look at Tiger, his were not like famous, but outside.
No, but he would bang a Perkins waitress, right? And then that stripper that we had on, that was, I just have to say, if you were looking at any standard of what you would consider to be like, wow, that is an exceptionally attractive woman.
Look,
she didn't fit the bill. I mean, you couldn't check any of the boxes with this.
No one wants Tiger, so I guess people do take fame because Tiger's things. They actually had looks, but especially if you throw in Elin, but none of them were famous. But Leo's not running away with it. I just posted this. We already have votes on this.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a great topic. If you wanted to talk about the idiosyncrasies of the collective bargaining agreement in Major League Baseball, you could tune in another show. I mean, they're playing ball on April 7th, and guys will be out there in the stands and welcoming the game just like they did before, even though everybody was screaming, "I don't care anymore." But it's like an argument with your wife. I don't care anymore, and then the next day you're right back at it. Yeah.
J-Lo on her own between looks and fame, you would think can match up with anyone. People,
she's not my cup of tea. I mean, obviously a very attractive woman, very talented. Has made a fortune. She'd be a little bit much for me, I would think. Although she comes off rare that somebody with that is that much in focus and in the spotlight comes off as being somewhat humble and low key, right? Like with these simple desires. But the way she bounced right out of that A-Rod thing and straight into Ben Affleck, come on. And Affleck was still, you were thinking, why don't you get back with Jen, huh? Get the kids together, sober up a little bit, make a decent movie, and disappear and live happily ever after. But I have no celebrity envy, though. I don't know if you do, Lubie. I really don't.
No, but Leo is not running away with it. Jeter and Leo right now are tied at 42%.
Nobody wanted Tiger's, run with women?
Tiger has 0. Like, no one's voted for Tiger at all.
You could tell at the time was a hot babe, but when...
Norderman was great.
Yeah, no.
He's underrated. Like, she was...
the type that has killed many a man. Many a man, yeah. She's a man-eater. Who knew that was about New York City?
I love that.
Right? When we, finally, came and made, peace and had to sit down with John Oates about his status as a Hall of Famer. All right, we have the NCAA tournament. We're going to have the professor coming up. He's got some insight in that. Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com, makes his return to the Degenerate Friday lineup. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, is going to be with us as well, and we'll have a lot of fun here. And also the professor's big board, which now I would go back into the archives, Google the Defo Show, You can go on, click on Ion Channel, and the Defo show now is like the number 2 show or something on all of Ion Channel. They have like 1 million shows.
Okay.
We're rising like a rocket ship here. It's absolutely great. And thank you to the people that are involved in the audio, because supposedly that's going real well too, which is nice to see. Mike
It's
Lubie
just Doug.
Lubitz.
I think Doug's the only one, but
Well,
thank
I
you,
try
Doug.
to make it sound bigger than it was. They only need one guy. He flips a switch. He
Doug does a
great
good job.
Yeah.
Doug deserves all the credit in the world. Thanks, Doug.
Oh no, and he's great too, because you know me, I'm sort of old school here, and he is old school radio. Which there was a time where you know that particular facet of the business was as much fun as anything that you could possibly do in life. I mean, just even hanging around with the people and being in the atmosphere was great. And you know, let's face it, that's a lot of what sports is all about. Right?
Yes.
You want to be in the atmosphere. I'm going to be in it in the NCAA tournament. I'm going to get some insight right here on the show from 2 guys I have tremendous respect for their opinion. Whether, you know, and we've mostly featured them as football guys. Of
Yes.
course, the professor of college football and Mark Lawrence, both college and the pros. But both, I mean, equally adept at selecting basketball games.
What I mean, Mark Lawrence took off the last 3 weeks, not because he doesn't have content or make picks, but because he put so much focus into the guide for the tournament. And this time of year that he needs to focus on that because that's how important it is to him.
All right. Well, this will, you know, give further indication to all of the people that enjoy the show of what a loser I really am, right? Because did I pull the trigger on my North Carolina bet? No.
Oh, God.
I was surprised to see that they were 10-1 to win the ACC tournament. 10-1. Now they're sitting there. I guess they have to play Virginia Tech tonight for the right to go to the finals, which would put you in a situation where at 10-1, let's say you had made. Look, was I overwhelmingly confident in this? No. But they only had to win 2 games to get to the final, and if they win the 2 games, one was going to be you know, against a team that they easily handled, right? They held Virginia to 13 points in the first half of last night's game, and you know they now have to beat Virginia Tech, which some people think is like a secret sleeper team. They're on the bubble. And I guess they you know, had some good victories at the end of the season. I'm not sure. I didn't follow it that closely, but I remember reading a little synopsis of the ACC tournament. And Virginia Tech is a team that some people gave a shot to win it all. Can you imagine that, Lubie?
No, ACC.
I couldn't tell you much about them. I couldn't name you a single player. I couldn't tell you who's the coach. Can you?
I think
Virginia
it's
Tech?
I think it's still Buzz Peterson, but they are a 7th seed, and the ACC is not great. I wouldn't. I mean, I guess because it's you can give anyone a chance, but I wouldn't have.
Jim Larinaga, man, with a big thrilling victory in overtime, as he gets a layup at the buzzer. You know, that was nice on a big outlet pass, and you know, the Canes, pretty cool team. The Hurricanes, maybe not the greatest, but they have to take on Duke now, and you know that Duke is on a mission from God. Are they not? They're the Blues Brothers at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about you know,
mission from God.
the Blue Devils, yeah.
That's such
no, they're on a mission from God. I mean, look, they blew that game against North Carolina. You think they're going to let North Carolina beat them again? I hope they do get crushed like a grape by North Carolina. Because I was very much taken back by that whole Coach K thing. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back into the Coach K. Let's pile on this guy because he's gotten away with a lot. But you know, with all due respect to all of his accomplishments, you know, I just thought that was really smarmy, didn't you? You didn't see it where, you know, he's sitting in a chair. He almost looks like he's under sedation. And they lose this game, and it was kind of cool. I mean, the fans, the little girls are crying that go to Duke. You know, oh my God, we lost this game. Now, any kind of guy that stands for sportsmanship, Lubie, would they not say, hey, listen, I really have to credit North Carolina. They're bitter rivals of ours, and in my 42 years, there's no battle that's been greater, and no victories that we took more pride in, and no losses that we took with more difficulty than with our good friends from across the state here from North Carolina. Now, could he say that, or would that be like, you know, embracing Putin at this point? I don't know.
When it's your last game after 42 and you have the history he has.
They've played each other 100 times almost, you know, in his tenure. He's like 50-47 lifetime against North Carolina.
He could get away with being a little bit humble. And I get it. He's not going to take a step back till later, but Well, then don't have that big ass hoopla night. If you're gonna have that night where all these famous people are coming back,
Yeah.
and Nowitzki and Jerry Seinfeld and Ken Jeong's there,
Like 90 of his players are class guys. I mean, you would have to say that a lot of the Duke players have represented themselves with great dignity and class
most.
in the aftermath of their career. Not everybody, but I mean, in general, I mean, most of these guys you look at and they've led very respectful lives, no?
Yes, they have, and he should have honored that.
Even look at a guy like Quinn Snyder, man, been coaching in the NBA, sort of in anonymity, but does a tremendous job and seems to represent the game very well. I mean, but he has a lot of guys like that. Even if you're tired of listening to Jay Billis or me, for that matter, I didn't go to Duke. Believe me, I was nowhere near that. I'm amazed I got into Syracuse. It was that was a fluke. Yeah, it wasn't like I earned my way in there. That's for sure. I guess that little change-up curveball might have helped just slightly. I don't know why anybody couldn't hit it, man. It was like a meatball. and I tipped the pitch also, which was even worse. But so weird. Something I developed in a stickball game. Actually, it worked very well for me, at least into my early life. But all right, we're coming back with more. Hialeah Park, man. And thank you, Frank Fiore. Mel Reese, I never would have come up with it. And I didn't have my phone on during the show. And, Frankie had this answer for us while we were just staggering around here trying to figure out where the hell we were going with this. But I know if you're going to Hialeah Park, you are going to be thrilled because, again, another jackpot, like another 13 dimes just last night taking place, Hialeah Park. I mean, that's like, it's a daily occurrence there, or so it seems, that somebody's walking out of there with like a lot of money. Now, that doesn't guarantee you're going to be a winner, but you're a winner because if you're going out to have a good time, you can use your entertainment dollar there in a lot of different ways. Eating and drinking is absolutely fantastic. You can play poker. Maybe you've got an edge over some of these other guys. Maybe you're like NASCAR Roger and you figure any game you're in, you're going to be the best player. Or maybe you just want to casually hang out. This would be a great idea. Get a bunch of guys together, get a poker game going at Hialeah Park. They do a tremendous job. They have, really the best dealers and people running the show. It's really, you feel like you're walking into like a baccarat, room in Monte Carlo in a James Bond movie when you walk in there. And at the same time, it's casual, man, and low key. And the bar in there is great. Restaurant, fantastic. I mean, they really do a great job with the poker room. And of course, my favorite, the Champion Simulcasting room. I could live there, Lubie. In fact, I wish I was sitting there right now in anticipation of like high noon when the races are going to start at various racetracks on the East Coast. It's going to be good. Although the East Coast is supposed to get socked with like a ridiculous, crunching or crushing, storm coming up over the weekend. Is that true? I thought I saw something about that.
You pay attention more than I do. I tune out the news so much now. It's sort of sad.
I'm always fascinated by news. I mean, and there's been some great reporting, I have to say, very brave reporting being done on the Ukraine situation. So I want to congratulate our brethren. The press takes a bad rap, Lubie. In general, most people that are in the media really want to, do something where you're, trying to bring the truth and stories to people that otherwise wouldn't have this kind of access, right?
Look, outside of the Schefters of the world, even when it comes to sports, the idea is to report the truth.
You think Schefter's making up like pure fantasy?
No, he's more worried about breaking news.
Oh yeah. Well, that's his whole gig. Yeah.
The fact that he breaks news that's already been broken. Like he just wants to have the moniker breaking news.
Yeah.
Like his name. That's what he wants. Good for him. Most people that break news are trying to do it legitimately and factually.
I saw it on a crawl just last night. Peyton Manning retires, and it was reported by Adam Schefter. Okay, great, Adam. We knew that.
Thank you.
No, but that's how that goes, right? There's already that was a big thing on my buddy Ed Kaplan, where there was like a press release already written, a press release that you had in your hand if you were in the media, and and maybe even in public in general, and then somebody would take credit for reporting this after that.
Yeah, that's
like. Hank was like that. Our good friend Hank Goldberg, he always wanted to get credit. He was obsessed with this story breaking thing, which it's never really been my bag, although we have broken a couple of stories of significance. Yeah.
We've broken stuff on air that later on other people talked about like a big deal. I'm like, dude, we talked about that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I guess it's my fault for not Like, I don't really care about the press release and all that other garbage. Like,
No.
Oates is a big deal, honestly. If we had found the right person to send that to, I have never heard that Man Eater is about New York City. He's done a million interviews. Both of them have. I've heard them talk about the song. I've never heard them talk about that. So I'm sure in this day and age, someone could have taken that and blown it up and made it a big fucking deal. I don't think like that. Like, we're doing it for entertainment and fun. I'm not here to like, oh my God, breaking news.
Well, I don't know if that was like such a breaking story, though. I mean, it's not like we found out that Khalil Mack was going to retire instead of accepting this trade. That now he's going to go to the Chargers. The Chargers. Does
Yes.
Khalil Mack
They're coming up,
did he tail off or something? I mean,
he's really good, still not great. He's not like
Okay.
top 3 defensive player in the league anymore, but he's still one of the best pass rushers in the league overall.
well, and this is your favorite thing because you love speculation and
Yes.
fabrication
Yes.
and theoretical hypotheticals.
Yes.
And so you now have just a wild period coming up in baseball free agency. And it does seem like the NFL, I mean, with the new guidelines for the salary cap are at an exorbitantly high level
20 million.
compared to anything,
Yep.
like $208 million in salary for the team. But I mean, think about that. You're paying a quarterback $50 million. And so what is that? That leaves you $150 for the other 52 guys.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of money, but I mean, that's what, an average of $3 million a player, where, you're going to have other guys on your roster that are commanding like $20 million salaries. Not easy to divvy that up, right? That's why they have a lot of rookies on special teams, my
Yes.
friend. A lot of rookies.
A lot of rookies all over the place. I meant to tell you, Lamont came in off the board, and look, these 4 aren't the only 4. Like, one of the names that comes to my mind immediately is Justin Timberlake. Like, Timberlake did actually.
Oh, Timberlake, yeah, but he's been happily married for a long time.
He got married.
I mean, he might have had that one indiscretion there where he kind of got caught with another babe. So what if he had his hands in her bathing suit?
He's done that. That's what I'm saying. He took himself off the market really young. Like, Jeter was into his 40s when. Same thing with A-Rod. Well, A-Rod was actually married, but then did what A-Rod did. But Lamont went after a man after your own heart and went old school, and he's not wrong. Lamont was like Namath.
Oh, Joe Willie, yeah.
Not a bad. I mean,
I witnessed it firsthand. I really did. I mean, that is an absolute, unequivocal, true story about how my friend Cliff Keller and I were selling souvenirs at Gate D at Shea Stadium. It was maybe an hour before kickoff for the AFC Championship game, 1968 AFC Championship game. New York Jets hosting the Oakland Raiders. Kenny the Snake Stabler and that whole crew. And, the AFL was a wild renegade league made up of characters like Joe Willie. And every other player we had seen come in, we were situated by the players' parking lot. Every other player we'd seen come in. And we kept asking around, it got to be like an hour and a half before game time. And we said, anybody seen Joe? Nobody had seen him, right? Nobody had spotted him coming through the gate. Comes through, about, it was like maybe a little after 12 o'clock. Here's a guy being literally held up by 2 of the hottest Swedish models that were both wearing fur coats. It was freezing inside the stadium when you walked in, which is why we sold like all of these wool hats before the game. And we're looking at it, we're like, who's that that they're holding up? And it was Joe, who then went on to have an heroic game. But it's well documented that he was out getting plastered till like 4 a.m. at various local watering holes. And did you ever see that the guy became the chief of police for the Miami Police Department at one time? He just recently stepped out of that position. And it was a guy like one of these military-looking guys with the crew cut and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't remember his name, but nonetheless, he was in this documentary because he was like the chief of police in New York when that was going on, or a high-ranking police officer. And he said they knew of this and that the cops were well aware, and they sent it in on the Oakland Raiders.
I love that the cops did it.
The cops, they sent it in. They took a bath. They couldn't believe that, there's Don Maynard, Mr. Reliable, Hall of Famer, man. I mean, a very quiet presence on that New York Jet roster, but he makes a great catch off a Namath pass late in the ball game, and the rest is history. But how Namath was able to play that game at all, he had to be seeing, triple when he was looking into the defensive backfield there. I mean, that was an amazing thing. So, yeah, legendary. I mean, the women were legendary with Joe Willie, were they not? Joe Montana, too, was in that category.
Joe Cool, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just talking about, we brought it up because I think there are parallels there with Tiger Woods and A-Rod, are they not? Maybe not, because A-Rod was mostly with very famous women.
Yes.
Whereas
was
Tiger was with babes, but outside of Lindsey Vonn and maybe who else was he with that
I don't know.
was like a celebrity stature?
Dylan became famous because of him, but she wasn't famous. Like
no, she
he
was
really
obscure. What are you talking about? She was changing diapers with a twin sister.
Yeah, he was just randoms, and then Vaughn. Like I don't remember him being with anyone else that was like famous.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting poll. So you're saying that who's running away with it? Jeter?
Leo now has a
Leo.
Like you said, he shouldn't even been on there. I guess
different style of babe though with Leo. See, I mean, we're not talking about the All-American Classic.
Famous. His wife is famous. His wife is an actress.
Hannah Davis, yeah,
went very famous. And
I almost said Hannah Storm. He was married to. She's still kicking, man. She's still there on SportsCenter.
Well, her and Hicks have been married for years. Like her and Dan Hicks, they have a really long.
Dan Hicks underrated as an announcer. I would have to say, yeah, I think he's very good at everything he does. I really do. I wasn't a huge fan because he kind of looks like a bit of a schmank, but he's
like a CPA. He looks like
he's real good. Yeah, no, he actually. I mean, when he did the Olympics, and I think he does like the swimming in the Olympics. That's not that easy to call, is it? There he is in the pool. Look at
that. Like, what do you say?
What do you say, man? You're watching like Mark Phelps.
Mike Phelps was Mark.
Right? I mean, okay. He's like, he's going to beat everybody. I don't know. How do you describe it? They do a really good job. I mean, of making, especially too. I mean, those guys with the snowboarding, pretty good. And they'll throw like anybody on that too. I mean, I think they just asked for volunteers because they had their horse racing guy, Randy Moss. Not that Randy Moss, but Randy Moss, the announcer. They had him doing like snowboarding. He's a guy that they usually have on their horse racing stuff. So I don't know. Was he betting that? I guess so. He probably could.
Probably.
Anyway, all right. So we have the poll working, but what we really want to work on is the next hour of the program here, Degenerate Friday. It's really going to kick into its degenerate utmost, as we'll have the professor, and he'll have some college steam for us on the baskets. Mark Lawrence going to give us a nice little preview of the NCAA tournament, maybe zero in on a couple of these conference finals coming up, and also the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, all happening in the next hour of the program. We're going to try and slam that all in there in 1 hour of the show. So stick around. We'll be back with more. Don't forget, head for Hialeah Park. You're looking for a good time. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it was a nice little intermission there in the commercial. But, we wanted to throw it all together by telling you, great place to go, Hialeah Park.
We did another segment.
It's good to be able to freelance a little bit here. A little improvisation. I can't believe we've been yakking for an hour. That's pretty amazing. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that. The time. I want some of that stuff, Louie. 7:58. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? A $100 bettor made $10,000. A $500 bettor made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children's children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
And a very warm good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Good to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, and we welcome in the man that's, wow, you talk about riding, I hate to reference this, a Boston Celtics type role. Where they've won like 18 of their last 21 games.
You're the first one to give him crap for when he goes overboard, but you always set him up like Dwayne Wade to LeBron James every time.
It's the Eddie Haskell in me. I don't know if you guys remember the great character Eddie Haskell, but you got to throw that one thing in there that gets a guy just tease him up and then sets him off. We welcome the professor to the program. The professor been killing it with the big board. It's become a sensational hit all over the internet. Just absolutely incredible. He'll be getting babes like Jeter and DiCaprio and A-Rod and I guess Tiger Woods. But Tiger Woods, would you say, Professor? And welcome to the show. How are you, my friend? First of all, how's everything going?
You got so many things going on that are wrong this morning. I don't even know where to start. I could be on for an hour just correcting the first hour. First of all, this stupid poll. Of course it's Jeter. It's Jeter in a runaway. It's not even close because not only does Jeter get the top class, but he gets them at the perfect time. Like he gets them and he destroys them, and then they go on and destroy other men's wives. Ask Dwayne Wade.
Yes.
Jeter got Gabby Union when she was still young and fresh, and then he ran through her and ruined her, and she has determined to spend the next 10 years ruining Dwayne Wade in his life.
There's that element in play. I guess you could use that as a criteria.
Like leave the Yankees. No.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Go do Nebraska football games with me because that's where I'm from. So I get to be the show when we go on game day, Dwayne. No, you didn't see Jeter putting up with that with her. He's like, no, take a walk. I got the new Sports Illustrated Sprint swimsuit issue. I'll just page through that like it's the Sears catalog. And honestly, A-Rod, not everything A-Rod done has been great. Let's be honest. I mean, you got J-Lo. We talked about her a few weeks. Bears the mark of Ben Affleck. And I'm not sure Tiger's even any better because Lindsey Vonn, she was coming off J.J. Watt. Like, I'm not sure actually which is worse, J.J. Watt or Ben Affleck. Those are two of the worst human beings you could possibly imagine. So I don't even know how this is even a question. This isn't a
Is
poll.
this going to be the big board? I mean, you want to switch it around and
it may be a future
tear apart our theories?
It may be a future big board because anybody who voted for anybody that Derek Jeter is a freaking moron.
What about DiCaprio? What about Leo, man? He's pretty slick.
Okay, Leo, again, I agree, does not belong in this category. He's not a former athlete. But I'll be honest, Leo's not really his girls are not really my type. I don't want to listen to Giselle talk about Hitler for 5 years.
Hitler reference in like a month.
It didn't take you long to work that in.
I know. I'm not
going from Tiger Woods banging Perkins' waitress to Hitler talk.
Hey, you bring Giselle in, you got to point out what her background is.
You brought Giselle in, but it was a natural link.
I'm not the one who put Leo on the poll now, am I? You can blame
Lubie gave you a layup. I think that was my design now. I'm going to go back and have an investigation here like it was Dan Snyder, for God's sake. I'm going to hire my own attorney to do it, too. So we can really get to the bottom of what went on there in the Commanders organization.
Yeah, I don't think Leo belongs on this poll, but of the athletes, I got to go. I mean, Jeter's a no-brainer. It's a runaway.
Very discreetly done, also. I mean, it wasn't like there were a zillion pictures of paparazzi chasing them. I mean, they essentially came through the back door of the building there, went up the elevator somehow, again, I got into Jeter's bedroom, did what they had to do, and then left with a bag of popcorn and a gift bag.
And I'm not a Derek Jeter fan, personally, as far as the Marlins go, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. But I will say, in terms of the women, done perfectly, done A+ style.
Yes.
Discreet. It wasn't like on TMZ, but just enough information to know what I was doing so that I can brag to all my friends. Like, hey, Jessica Biel got her and ruined her. and then passed her off to Justin Timberlake. Let her run his life for the next 20
Actually,
years.
not wrong. They always went to someone else, and then
I have to
Exactly.
say, you make more than a valid point here.
Like,
I about that.
No, I mean, look, again, the baseball stuff, not so much. Jeremy
Yeah.
Giambi was safe. That's a bogus play.
Yep.
One of the biggest bullshit calls in the history of baseball. That said, as far as handling the women,
Yeah.
really, A+ work, Derek Jeter. I got nothing but great things to say.
Probably his best work. Yeah. Even,
I'm not really sure you deserved the Hall of Fame for your baseball career, but for your in the bedroom career, again, first ballot is fine. I think you are the Babe Ruth of
the jump throw from deep in the hole that is always depicted in any Jeter highlight reel.
that's not his real highlight.
Didn't come
His
close
real
to
highlight are
touching.
like, the 10 women,
didn't come
and
close
then
to touching that.
Scarlett Johansson when she was still in her prime. Yeah, I mean, over and over, you can just throw
That's
the name.
right.
Passed her on to a
Easy.
comedian. Can you believe that? Passed her on to a comedian.
Yeah. And I think you had
Yeah.
Alba young.
Although comedians are looking really good now with this.
Although really,
Zelensky
honestly,
guy.
Alba,
Yeah.
he might have wanted to hang on there if he had known she was going to start like $1 billion baby food company.
Yeah.
Like maybe he should have. Maybe that is his mistake. Maybe that was his tragic flaw when it came to the women. Because like, not like she wasn't smoking hot, and she's going to go on to make more money than you did with baseball. She
Well, it's
can
not
actually
like
afford
Jeter's.
to buy the Marlins.
Jeter's not going to need a GoFundMe page anytime soon. Although maybe he did take a bit of a financial beating. You would imagine he got out of the Marlins situation in a very favorable way.
I would think so. Yeah.
Bruce Sherman was probably happy. There was an awkward pall over the Marlins during the Jeter era. I would say that Lubie and I were probably closer to it than a lot of people because we were involved there as a flagship of the team, and nobody else wanted to talk about them but us. So, and we had to deal Volkswagen runs going, where we're trying to eclipse the over number, which we did 1 out of like 4 years. Yep. Sorry, Dan.
Basically, you're saying you were the two people in South Florida who were actually paying
that actually gave a shit about every game. And
you two and Marlins, man.
Yeah, and Andy Slater, our buddy Andy Slater. But it seemed very awkward. I don't know, Lubie. I found it that way. I've been around a lot of teams as
weird.
Guy that was involved either in some announcing capacity or it just was an awkward pall. That there seemed to be a distance and a divide between just about everything, and Jeter seemed to be the source of this. That's my impression, anyway. All right.
Okay.
Now that he's gone, we'll bury him in. All right. So we have to get to the big board.
He didn't make the playoffs once. You can't really hate on it when he makes the playoffs with a roster of double A players making single A money.
Yeah. You thought you were watching a team at Coney Island, and it was like, oh no, that's our pro team. Yeah. All right, Professor. I don't know how you're going to do it. You've been putting a lot of heat on Mike Mayo, also because.
Well, I got to ask: do we want to do games first, or would you want to go straight to the board?
Let's do the games first. Let's throw a couple of picks out.
Guys, there are some games we like today, and one of them starts relatively early. That is a 2:00 start. Iowa laying 6.5 to Rutgers. I know Jersey Kyle's going to hate me for picking against the University of New Jersey.
He just sent in a bet Rutgers on the money line.
Okay,
based on your opinion.
But Iowa has been playing great basketball lately. On a real roll offensively. Should have won that game against Illinois over the weekend. I believe would have given him a piece of the Big Ten title. So we like Iowa here in this spot at 6.5. Also in the SEC tournament being played over in Tampa. But for those who just happen to see the city, it is not that awful baseball stadium or whatever the hell you call it. They're actually playing in the hockey arena. That makes a big difference because if you remember in past shows when they've done games in that awful Devil Rays stadium, very difficult shooting backgrounds. We like unders. It's not that. It's a different environment, but we like Arkansas. The team's good, been good to us all year long. And LSU, a team has not produced positive results on the road, particularly in the second half of the year. So the Razorbacks, -2. And then a couple later tonight, 9 o'clock, Villanova playing UConn, Nova laying 3. I like the way Nova has come around in the second half. I think they're one of the teams sort of rounding into shape at the right time. And even last night, they got off to a bad start in the first half, turned the ball over a bunch, was very uncharacteristic, but came back and beat St. John's to advance. So Nova -3 there. And then finally, the Pac-12 game, USC getting 5.5 from UCLA. Crosstown matchup. They just played this a week ago. UCLA didn't cover at home. I don't see why it'd be any different result here. So take USC and the 5.5 there.
I don't know if you've ever made any bets just out of pure spite in your lifetime.
I made one Saturday when I bet on North Carolina.
North Carolina money line.
I violated my morals. That's how historic game that was. I had to bet the Tar Heels just to spite Ratface.
Exactly my premise.
You know what was great about that?
Yeah.
Just for point of comparison, Coach K coached there 40 years. 96 players showed up. Dean Smith, 400 players showed up, and 3 NBA guys took time away from the NBA to come to Dean Smith's memorial game. Tells you maybe even his own players kind of hated Coach K, because the only guys who showed up were the superstars and guys who, like, he helped them with their coaching career after they were done playing. Like, Joe Role player did not show up. Mark Allery didn't show up to that game. He was K's first kind of star at Duke, first big white stiff at Duke. Just saying, maybe his own players.
Grayson Allen was there. Yeah.
My there you go.
Favorite Duke.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know, as a Buddy Boeheim fan, if you get to talk smack about Grayson Allen anymore.
I don't really, I'm indifferent to Buddy Boeheim. I mean, there are too many Boeheims on the team. And, as we were talking about yesterday.
Just say when you said your own kid to throw the cheap shot, that's a whole
Leonard
different
Hamilton
level.
didn't mind it. Leonard really did a good job of sticking up for his player by saying, "Oh no, it was okay. He had it coming." Yeah, he wanted to see this kid get hit in the balls by Buddy Boeheim. In a cheap shot that was not even Grayson Allen was guilty of something as outrageous as that. And Jimmy B didn't see it though. He was like a wrestling referee on that thing. But
Yeah.
He looks like a shot fighter at this point. I don't know. He's announced he's coming back, and the people in. Around the Syracuse program are asking themselves why. Please go away.
Buddy Boeheim, if you're going to do that against Florida State of all teams, take it to the next level when you're got Duke. I mean, I know you were suspended, but you were still on the bench. Could have come out there with the green mist in your mouth and spit it in Rat Face's face. Just randomly hit Bolsonaro with a folding chair in the middle of the second half. If you're going to be a wrestling heel, go full wrestling heel.
We have to get to the big board.
Okay.
And I don't know how you're going to do it. We've been saying this each week, each successive week. We're thinking, how is a professor going to outperform the previous week? Not that you have to, but or even bring it to that same level. And you've managed to eclipse our wildest expectations. So we're ready for you. The platform is yours, the professor, and the professor's big board for this week.
Okay, Defo. So, it's that time of year. It's one of my favorite times of year. An NCAA tournament starts next Thursday. But once again, that Thursday falls on a certain day. That gets under my skin a little bit. I thought we'd talk about it this week because, there's a group of people out there other than Boston fans, other than Duke fans, that, they could get a little annoying from time to time, particularly around this time of year. So we're going to talk about it this week. And this week's big board.
There we go.
In time for St. Paddy's Day is the big board of the Irish.
Big board of the Irish. This week's big board, St. Paddy's Day, of course, is Thursday. Coincidental with the opening of the NCAA tournament. All right, here we go. The professor.
It's sort of funny because Lubie and I ran into this just last night. And as a person of a different ethnic background, I don't really get it. We start out every year on St. Patrick's Day where Irish people get to do their thing. And by get their thing, I mean get violently, repulsively drunk, constantly brag about being Irish and how proud they are about being Irish. I want to tell you about all their Irishness and domestic violence. I mean, I think those are the three things that Irish people are really into. And we had one come up to us last night, and we were asked a trivia question about a harp and had to point out that in Ireland it wasn't a harp, it was a lyre. Well, you're not in Ireland, you're in America, and I get you're Irish and proud of being Irish. But in America, we call it a freaking harp. And the beer is called harp. It's not called liar beer. It's called harp beer. You jerk off. And I just got to say, in this era where we're so racially and ethnically and religiously sensitive, I'm a little offended by all this because I happen to be a very proud person, proud of my Scandinavian heritage. And do my people get to have a day where we get to go into Irish villages and hit them with battle axes and burn their crops and steal their women? No. Now, I don't really necessarily want to paddle a longboat. That looks like a lot of work. But can I go in and burn down an Irish village and worship strange gods that are now Marvel comic heroes? Absolutely, I could. But me as a Scandinavian, I don't get that opportunity. The Irish get to go be all Irish for a day, but do I get, as a a person of Viking heritage, do I get to go enjoy my heritage? No. And I don't want to eat lutefisk, but I'd do it for a day. But no, we don't get that opportunity for some reason. And I find that a little racist. I'm not going to lie. It's a little insulting. But let's get into what we know about the Irish.
I mean, that's a solid start, Professor. I don't know where it's going from here, but
I'm scared and
if that was the end of the big board, it would have been a showstopper right there. It was awesome. Yeah.
Number 5, the good leprechauns, like the Lucky Charms guy. That's one of the things we know about the Irish. I put good in quotation marks because let's be honest here. These little kids come and they steal his marshmallow cereal, which is, I mean, look, it's better to be giving away some marshmallow cereal than it is a pot of gold, obviously. But I don't know if you've ever noticed it in the Lucky Charms commercials, Defo. It's never the same kids, which is a little weird because animation's expensive. You think they would use the same kids over and over again, which makes me think that when the commercials are over, the leprechaun is taking his blood-soaked revenge on those little turds for always stealing his marshmallow. So, like, he's not really happy about that. So they keep having to run through these cartoon children because once it's done, he's selling them to, I don't know, other cereal companies or something. I don't know. Feeding them to the Trix Rabbit in his off time. I don't know what his deal is. But I have some suspicions about good leprechauns, and that takes us to evil leprechauns. Who promise you something and you don't get taken to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. At the end of the rainbow, it's not a pot of gold. It's a crap draft pick at the end of the rainbow. And then the next year spent trying to ruin that draft pick. So you can't trust these people at all. And look at him. He even looks, let's be honest. I know everybody was into the beard because he went to Harvard. No, it's so off character. No, look at him. He looks like every evil leprechaun in the history of movies. Looks just like that movie thing. All he's missing is fighting Ice-T for his pot of gold that's hidden in a crack house. I don't trust leprechauns. I don't trust
the evil leprechaun.
Any kind of leprechauns, particularly the evil ones who screw up your franchise and contribute to a completely bogus lawsuit. Because where's our Joe Burrow, evil leprechaun? Where was our pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? Cincinnati got our pot of gold. We got somewhat less than that, let's just say.
Beautiful, man. That's only number 5. Wow. Oh, it's 5A, evil leprechauns.
And that takes us to number 4, Defo. Perhaps the best-known Irishman since James Joyce. And not my personal favorite, but a lot of favorite for a lot of people out there. And that's Conor McGregor. I'm just saying, and honestly, there's a lot of people I know out there whose racism really got revealed with that Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight because all Conor McGregor did was throw out these less than subtle racial jabs at Floyd McGregor. And I know like a dozen white people who somehow convinced themselves that Conor McGregor was going to win that freaking fight.
Yes,
when, let's be honest, we all should have mortgaged our homes and bet on Floyd Mayweather because even at 1-8 or whatever, it was the biggest lock in the history of humanity. But that's not really what makes Conor McGregor a scumbag. Here's the thing about Conor McGregor. It's not the mouth. It's not the stupid clothes or the cars. It's that the minute he gets some money, what does he do? He starts a liquor company to try to exploit his own people's alcoholism. Like your entire nation is famous as hell for struggling with alcohol for a couple of 100 years. So what do? You start an Irish whiskey company. Way to contribute to the good, Conor. Way to be of your community. I mean, honestly, I'll look at all the American athletes we give grief for the bit. We're giving Mickelson grief because he's involved in an NFT with, I don't know, with, the evil empire, whoever the hell it was that he's involved with. I don't think is it the Saudis? I thought it was
Saudis.
Like the Indians. Do work with the Saudis. He wants to go play for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, he wants to play all in the sand.
We're giving Mickelson grief for that. Do you see Mickelson starting a meth brand to pump in the Midwest? No. Conor McGregor? What's your next company going to be? It's going to be, I don't know, illiteracy.com? What other Irish problems that you attempt to exploit for your own business? Like, I'm sorry, like, become a politician and start advocating giving the Emerald Island back to England. I'm just saying, if you go back in the days, like Conor McGregor would have been on Edward DeLongshank's side of things because it would have been worth more money. Not a good dude,
Right.
and probably the most famous Irish guy of all time. And that takes us, Defo, to number 3. And I'm apologizing in advance here to the Gambling Gourmet because I'm doing something I said I wouldn't do. And we got to talk about how terrible the food is for the Irish people. Let me give you a line. Nobody you've never heard any day other the year other than March the 17th. Hey, let's go have some corned beef and cabbage. Give me another line about Irish cuisine you've never heard anywhere else. Wow, she's such a great cook. She can really boil that meat. I'm not saying my own people's cuisine is good because
I've heard that said a couple of times.
Ludovic is actually soaked in poison, so I can't really compliment my own people's cultural heritage in terms of food. But it's a step up over Ireland. Like, who the hell wants to eat corned beef and cabbage ever? I don't want to eat it on St. Patrick's Day, but I've never seen any human being want to eat it outside of St. Patrick's Day. And then we get to Guinness. A beer so horrible, its own people don't want to drink it anymore. Fun fact here, in 2020, and it stayed through the last 2 years, Ireland now became the 3rd nation in terms of Guinness consumption. England has always been number 1. It used to be Ireland number 2, but now Nigeria has passed Ireland. That's how bad Guinness is. They don't even want to sell it in Ireland anymore. They now ship it off to Nigeria. And I don't know if you've ever tasted it. I don't blame the Irish for this because Guinness tastes like equal parts soy sauce and seltzer water. It's awful.
It's like Valvoline to me. I don't like it.
Again, and then they'll give you all these reasons like, oh, well, it's good if you try it there. It's good if you have it warm. That's how they serve it. Oh, yeah, that's what I want. A warm cup of terrible beer. A terrible beer that tastes too better. Yeah, that sounds great. Oh, well, if they put the nitro head on it, look how perfect the head is. I don't care how perfect the head is. I don't care how good the head tastes because I know everything else underneath it is awful. And then we get to Jameson and other Irish whiskey, which is just Ireland being angry about Scotland being so much better at making whiskey than they are. Because, again, nobody voluntarily drinks Jameson. The only time you ever drink Jameson is when you're with a bunch of Irish people on St. Patrick's Day and they feel like celebrating their Irish heritage. Otherwise, that stuff's swill and everybody knows it. The $4 bottle you buy of scotch at front of the 7-Eleven is better than any Irish whiskey. Particularly. I'm sorry.
It's only number
that
3,
whole
man.
Ireland, when it comes to their food and culture, it's an abomination, and there's a good reason we only have it once a year. Probably shouldn't even have it that often. Honestly, the peak of Irish cuisine is the Shamrock Shake, and that's not even Irish.
Man, that could have easily been atop the list there. And, Guinness could have been its own separate category. So that's number 3, the Professor's Big Board about St. Paddy's Day. And what was the official title?
Big Board of the Irish.
Big Board of the Irish. All right, number 2.
Number 2, well, Defo, we know there's one thing that Irish people like better than bombing English civilians, and that's Notre Dame football. So number 2 is Rudy was offsides, Irish people.
Yes.
Everything you believe about
He was
Notre Dame
blatantly
is crap.
offsides.
I'd
Yeah,
like
no
you to
flag.
look at the big board here. Up on the top and circled in red, we have Rudy. We have the line of scrimmage. This is a picture, the actual game. Rudy's a full half body in the neutral zone. It's not like he's in close offsides. He's way offsides here. It's not remotely close. Rudy was offsides, but let's say George Gipp was paid to play at Notre Dame and never attended a class at the school. The whole myth of the Gipper is total crap. It's the most corrupt player in the history of NCAA football. Cleveland Gary didn't fumble. Your last national title was completely bogus. Honestly, Manti Te'o's girlfriend was more real than the Cleveland Gary fumble.
That was an odd story. Yes, it was.
That's another thing, yeah.
Speaking of babes, yeah, we should have put Teo on the list there with A-Rod and company.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and nobody's really proud of your school or your football team. I don't know what's wrong with you. You fighting Irish. Again, Joe Montana himself said that the whole carrying Rudy off the field thing was a joke. Mr. Notre Dame, the quarterback of that team, basically told you that whole movie is crap. Like everything you believe about that movie is complete hot garbage. They never, all the scenes you love, they never turned the jersey in. There was no like random wise black guy working as a janitor for the team. It's all
Random
pure
wise
garbage.
black
Okay, Charles S. Dutton. That was it. Yeah.
He was great, but yeah, that's classic.
Didn't you get thrown out of a theater for screaming, "He's offsides"? While you were standing up, and
you really think I would have paid money to go to the theater?
Yeah, that's a bad assumption.
That might be the most insulting thing you've ever said to me, Defo.
I'm sorry. That encompasses a lot. All right, Rudy was offsides. Yes.
The number one thing you need to know about about Irish people is, come on, obviously. It's Boston sports.
Oh, here we go. I don't know if we have enough time to.
It's an entire city of corrupt scumbags trying to out-cheat each other.
Out-cheat each other.
Go to the Red Sox. The Mitchell report comes out. A former Red Sox employee gets hired to do the report. And what does it turn out? Oh, yeah, not a single Red Sox player cheated ever. Except Manny Ramirez tested positive 5 seconds after he left the team. David Ortiz's watermelon head, they had to have helmets custom made, but no, he never did anything. And the team was so strange and bizarre. That Pedro carried around a midget with him for a year, and nobody said anything about it. It was just generally accepted. That sure, yeah. Have a midget. Carry around like one of those music grinder box monkeys for some reason. I'm honestly surprised Pedro didn't get him a little outfit like that. The Canadians, the Boston Bruins, I don't really know anything about the Bruins. I don't know anything about their fans. I assume the team is chock full of Canadians, which means they've done all the terrible things to the United States that Canada has done in general, like Bryan Adams, for example, that America has never really recovered from. So, I'm as Boston teams go, the Bruins are the least offensive, but still bad. The Celtics, again, cheated for 50 years under Red Auerbach. Bill Russell should have never been a Celtic. He should have gone to whoever the most Western team was. But no, let's let Red violate the league rules and make them up as they go along. And that brings us to the Patriots, who we know.
Oh,
of all the things about the Patriots, and we could say a million things here, I think the number one thing we need to bring up with the Patriots, it's not Belichick, it's their fans. And here's a picture, Defo, of a typical Boston fan. If you're wondering, is that guy using that American flag like a halberd to try to hit some random black guy? Yes, exactly what he's doing. It's a very famous picture. I don't really know exactly what the cause of this was. I know there's some historical reason. I think it's because the Patriots signed a black quarterback to be the backup. I'm just saying, Defo, all their fans, and look, I don't care what ethnicity you actually are. To me, you qualify as Irish. The Wahlbergs, I don't care what you are, Jewish, Polish, whatever the hell the Wahlbergs actually are. As far as I'm concerned, you grew up in Southie, you're Irish. Ben Affleck, again, maybe a Cambridge lace curtain scumbag, but still Irish. Matt Damon, all these people who appears in the commercials, done with all of you. Again, typical Boston fan right there. That demonstrates Boston sports, and that's why that's number one on the big board.
Of Irish.
Of the Irish.
We're overwhelmed. Outstanding as always, Professor.
I just want to say, Defo, Aaron Go Bra. Everybody have
disclaimers. Yeah.
Everybody have a happy St. Patty's Day. Aaron Go Bra.
We love you, Ken.
Enjoy your corned beef and cabbage.
Have a good weekend. Good luck with your plays.
All right, we're going to get into more NCAA stuff. I forgot the professor's basketball picks. I hope you wrote them down. But
I did not.
We're going to make a move here and try some new method of production. Oh, there he is. Beautiful. Man.
He's
great.
ready. He was standing by in the green room.
And Mayo, he really has staggered around to follow the professor's big board. And we do. Do we have to issue a series of disclaimers, Lubie, in order to move on to the next segment here?
To separate that from Mark Lawrence.
We have nothing to do with that. Nothing.
This man.
That's our disclaimer. And neither did Mark Lawrence of PlaybookSports.com, a very distinguished gentleman here and one of the world's greatest handicappers. And Mark, thanks for joining us here. Always a pleasure, my friend. How are you? And are you already? Have you finished off the NCAA preview guide, which was taking up all of your time the last couple of weeks. People were asking about your whereabouts, and naturally, if you're involved in this show, they assume that maybe you went away for a while.
Well, I'm glad I'm back on this week's show, Defo. It's very hard to follow the professor after that rant. That was
Yes,
really
that
good.
was something. I mean, he tees it up, and once he gets rolling, man, it's just unbelievable. And somehow he finally worked in the Boston sports.
There we go.
It was the cooking, I think. He might have been onto something with the Irish food, right? Now, who eats corned beef and cabbage any other time except St. Patty's Day? And it does give you a massive amount of gas. Now, we're looking for some gas, as everybody is, because it's expensive, and some steam on college hoops. All right, so where do you stand with the? Have you published the preview guide for the NCAA's? Because we don't have the brackets set yet. So where does that stand, Mark Lawrence? How can people get this info?
Well, we'll be working on the NCAA March Madness tournament bracket this weekend and all the way through Tuesday. We're going to release it on Tuesday at playbooksports.com.
Okay.
So I'm putting a magazine together in 2 days, just crunching everything together from Selection Sunday moving forward. But we're into it now, the NCAA March Madness tournament. We're doing the conference tournaments right now as we speak. A lot of good things go on inside these conference tournaments that people don't realize. There's probably a lot better handicapping chances and theories and thoughts during these conference tournaments than there are in the March Madness tournament itself, because there are so many games. And I think we got a good-looking game on tap today. I'll share that with you here in just a bit. And
Nice.
Also the NBA. The NBA is also stirring up. So between the March Madness tournament, the NBA, and then getting ready for a next football season with the Playbook Preview Guide magazine, we're going 24/7 here.
Nice.
I would imagine in hot demand also because, as demonstrated to our viewers and listeners here on this show, I mean, just a dynamite approach. And, not everybody is going to hit every game. That's a certainty. But when you sort of listen to the logic and the way that you approach these things, it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, the number of qualifying numerology type approaches that you take to various games is incredible. And the Polyman, by the way, sends his regards and always is amazed, man. Did you hear that? I mean, that last one he gave was just unbelievable. So congratulations on all of that stuff. And as we said, very much in vogue right now. I'm thinking this, though, especially a guy that's sharp like you are that is following this all year long. Could you have just some real advantages in these conference tournaments? Now, I didn't make this bet, of course, because it would have made sense, and I sort of had a little bit of a feeling on it. It may not come to pass that it's a winner, but I was going to bet North Carolina. I thought 10-1 was a pretty good price on them in the ACC tournament coming out of that win over Duke, and it looked like maybe they were getting things together. And, all you had to do was win a couple of games, and you would have been in one of those Mark Lawrence positions where you could hedge and make money no matter what, if they just got to the final at 10-1, but I didn't do it. Are there conferences that you looked at, Mark Lawrence, and said, okay, these are veritable certainties, and that you felt that you had a real advantage in?
Well, there are. The conferences take on their own personalities. As you mentioned, the ACC has been very chalky, that tournament, because there's a lot of good basketball teams in the tournament. So it's not something that I get too heavily into, the ACC, but there's a lot of patterns that evolve. For instance, today, Villanova, who just barely scraped by last night, they'll be playing their second Big East tournament game. You go back 11 years in a row in their second Big East tournament game, Villanova's only beat the spread one time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they sort of come back to earth or just play down to the level of opposition here. So obviously, you're going to look to fade Villanova or not play the basketball game. But inside the Big Ten Conference, and that's my home, that's where I'm from, Cleveland, Ohio, the Big Ten, and we have a pretty good a handle for the Big Ten Conference here. There is no coach better in revenge games than, if you will, Izzo from Michigan State. He's absolutely terrific. He's in that role here today. We call it Izzo's Revenge. Nice. And it's simply put this way, that any time from game 20 on out, whenever Tom Izzo's basketball teams at Michigan State have revenge, you put them on your playlist. He'll be in that role here today. He's taking 3 points in that Wisconsin basketball game here in this contest here. And if you go back and you look at him in the NCAA or in the Big Ten tournament, whenever you've given this guy points, he's been money in the bank. He's an 80% point spread play in his career, taking points in the Big Ten tournament. You don't need a roadmap to decide which side of the game you want to get to in a contest like this. So I would say Michigan State would be noteworthy, and I would put them on my playlist today.
I think we ran into Tom Izzo the
Yes,
one
we
year
did.
that Lubie and I were covering
right.
the Final Four in Houston, and I think he might have thought we were coaches and invited us to get on the bus.
He did.
I was taking all of the coaches to whatever event that they were having, as a preview. I guess they were driving all the coaches
Yeah.
over to the semifinal games, where we also were mistaken by Roy Williams for being Syracuse coaches when Lubie and I were standing on the sidelines there, where we had no business being also. Before those games, but that was the year that Villanova won it all with that thrilling game over North Carolina, and so this Jay Wright always seems to have a very representative team. Did you get a chance to see, and were you involved at all in instigating the brawl in the stands between Wagner and Bryant? Did you watch that game with any interest?
I did not get involved, nor did I see the brawl itself. It's an ugly incident, obviously here, but only. Things like that, to me, they're more like UFC boxing type situations. I don't dig that in basketball. I think you got to play the game on the court. But how ugly was it, Defo? I really didn't catch it.
The brawl, though, wasn't necessarily my focal point there. I mean, obviously, I'm not a big fan of that sort of thing either. It's a game, for God's sake, and let's all go and behave like human beings. And even if you're rooting against my team, it's like having some guy, rooting for your horse to get mowed down at the track. Where my natural instinct is to slug the guy right in the jaw if I can. I'm trying to land a sucker punch and then run out of there. But what was interesting to me was this guy Peter Kiss, who I knew nothing about. I had never seen him before. I didn't realize that he had led the nation in scoring. Now, coming from a weenie conference and a team I didn't even know had a basketball team, Bryant, you're not necessarily inclined or should be ashamed, even in the sports business, to not know anything about the guy. But I mean, do you see any teams like that? I mean, are players that have sort of caught your eye that might be attractive as first round bets in the NCAA tournament? Of the the smaller conference teams that have qualified, is there anyone that you like, Mark Lawrence?
Well, that's a great question, and it's one of the things that I love zeroing in on the most when the NCAA tournament gets here next week. And this is a real simple rule. It's real easy to follow. And it's a real rock solid money maker. And basically what you're looking to do is you play on any team that won both their regular season and their conference championship. I call those double champions.
Is that the name of that theory? The double champion theory?
The double champion theory.
Oh,
Nice.
It's the Oscar De La Hoya, theory.
Yeah, there you go. They hit you with the left, they hit you with the right. Well, what you do is you play these guys in the first round of the NCAA tournament when they're taking points from a non-champion.
Okay.
So you'll find teams like Murray State, Belmont, schools like that who did just that. They won their regular season. They won their conference championship. Now they're dogs to teams.
Did Belmont get in?
Well, they're playing. Okay.
Oh, okay.
They're still alive, and if they do, that will be good news because they're a team I've liked all year long. They've got 5 starters back from last year's team. They could be very, very dangerous.
That's one of my theories, which is always bet on teams that are named after racetracks.
Well, there you go.
Monmouth, Belmont, if they're in the tournament, I'm playing them at least in the opening round game.
Well, the Aqueducts are really, really a surprising team.
Believe it or not, I think. Is there a Charlestown University?
There is the Charleston, yeah. The College of Charleston. Yes.
Yeah. Pimlico fielding a basketball team? They may be also.
Not, no.
Yeah. All right. So you were saying, though, about this double champion theory, which.
What we'll do is we'll take them plus the points against middle run teams that made the tournament, didn't do anything special throughout the course of the basketball season, but yet got an invite into the tournament. I'm saying middle run teams. You're looking at the Ohio States of the league, the Marylands, those types of basketball teams, and they're laying points to double champions. That's a no-no. That's a real good starting point for the NCAA tournament. So remember that when it starts officially next Wednesday, Thursday, look for those double champions taking points from non-champions.
Do you, Mark Lawrence, as a professional handicapper and a guy that obviously has been very successful doing this, both in terms of offering information and possible advice to betting these games yourself, Do you get that same feeling? I remember Andy Byer saying in a feature that I saw on him, the great race handicapper Andy Byer, Washington Post fame, of course, written many handicapping books on horse racing, King of the Pick 6 when it first came out. And he would say that, and I'll try to do a poor man's Andy Byer. When I go to my porch and grab the racing form first thing in the morning, I ultimately feel like the king of the world. Do you feel that way when they first put out like the tournament brackets? I mean, are you in wild anticipation of this coming out, or is that just a signal of time that you have to go to work?
Well, being a rather humble guy, I never feel like I'm king of the world, but I do. I do look forward to these opening numbers that come out in the tournament because of my database. And my database has these double champions and these other angles that we talk about. These teams, we call water moccasins. And water moccasin. What's a water moccasin? Well,
what's a water moccasin?
Oh, they'll bite you badly. And what they are is they're teams that were favored by 20 or more points their last game, and now they're a double-digit underdog.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just situations like that we label teams with names, but we look for those in this NCAA basketball tournament, and a lot of it depends upon. I think in the first round of this tournament is the best round to make your money, to make your hay in the first round of the NCAA basketball tournament. From Wednesday and even take it through Sunday, those are the two best rounds to make your money in the NCAA tournament. So
you're betting the play-in games then also?
Well, not so much the play-in guys because they're playing one another. And, I'm looking to take advantage of teams that have name and reputation that perhaps arguably shouldn't even be here, but they're here for one reason and one reason alone, because Ohio State is a big, well-known name. Schools like that, you'll find Florida, the Gators, not to knock the Gators, but, they're having their troubles up and down, and they'll be finding themselves likely favored in an NCAA tournament game. And if they're favored against a double champion, look out, we'll snap the rubber band.
I love that, man. He's already got the wad of cash ready to go and unload on the tournament. All right, you gave us Michigan State, Tom Izzo, revenge game, coming back, getting points in the Big Ten tournament. Do you have any other selections for the people out there that are tuned in for Mark Lawrence and Degenerate Friday?
Yeah, let's look over on the NBA side of things here tonight. And we're talking about revenge. There's a theory that I use in the NBA, call it perfect revenge.
Revenge.
Perfect revenge. It doesn't get any better than perfect revenge.
Wow.
So, what is perfect revenge in a nutshell? It's basically a team that just won a same season revenge game, and they have a same season revenge game waiting up on deck next, and the guy they're playing has same season revenge. So they're oftentimes looking past this guy today because they're happy about what they just accomplished, and they know they've got business to tend to on deck. We've got that tonight with the Boston Celtics laying 14 points against Detroit. You're catching the Celtics coming in off a big revenge win over Charlotte. They've got another revenge game on tap Saturday, and here in slips Detroit. They were knocked out by Boston earlier this year. Nobody will want Detroit. Only the Pistons realize that they're in this perfect revenge situation. So we'll play Detroit plus the 14 against Boston tonight.
Holy Cade Cunningham. Unbelievable. Mark Lawrence against the hottest team in the league right now, the Boston Celtics, who are absolutely steamrolling their way through the league with Jason Tatum coming right to the forefront. You're looking at this guy going, what can't he do? Pretty incredible. Gutsy play as always. Playbooksports.com. Now, you have a ton of stuff coming out, so how can people find it? Because I know you have a lot of fans here on the show, Mark Lawrence.
Yeah, mark it down, Defo. Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be releasing the NCAA Playbook March Madness Tournament Guide. And that'll be everything you'll want to know about the March Madness Tournament, the first two rounds specifically. You can download it at playbooksports.com. You'll have it by your side, by your lazy boy. Watch all the first round games. Refer to the guide. And you'll be a happy camper looking forward to our next edition, which will be a follow-up edition to that, our Sweet 16 Tourney Guide. So a lot of good stuff online, playbooksports.com.
Your Midwest affinities coming to the forefront here with the Pistons and Michigan State.
There we go.
Your two selections here on the show. Both teams coincidentally getting points with Mark Lawrence. Playbooksports.com. Mark, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you can join us again next week.
Yes.
Before the tournament. Okay. Because, I guess it'll be just underway And that'll be fantastic if you can come on the show. So thanks so much for being with us.
I'll look forward to that. You guys be well, stay safe, and take care.
All right, thanks so much. Mark Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo is going to wrap things up for us on this Degenerate Friday. He's coming up in just a few minutes here, and we'll try and spend a half hour or so with the Gambling Gourmet. So maybe we go into a little overtime today, Lubie, although we were trying to dodge that. But the professor was, what are you going to do? You can't throw a wrench in there and say, hey, we're out of time. The professor was rolling like that. And so we're going to have Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, coming up and be with you till about 9:15 this morning here on the East Coast. We do want to remind you, I mean, how do we not get Mayo down? I mean, you know how he is with all of his preconceived notions about places and stuff, which he tries to avoid, right? He's a critic. He should be extremely open-minded, but he won't acknowledge that this Italian fisherman pizza is something that he absolutely has to try.
Oh, Mayo?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's a pizza lover, too. I mean, an absolute stone pizza lover, and he likes a little variety in that regard. I'll give him credit for that, right? I mean, a New York guy, he doesn't have any kind of New York snobbery about the pizzas that are made here in South Florida. In fact, he loves several joints like the Pizza Spot, but nothing like the pizzas and the creativity that you'll find from Dominic and Jemmy coming out of the kitchen there, and our good friend, C.J. Spiller.
Yes.
He's become an outstanding guy making pizzas.
He does a great job.
One of their little pizzerias that they have there as kind of a side thing. Going to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Great place to chill out. Great place to watch a tournament. Remodeled sports bar. Everything about it is just absolutely outstanding. You can get, fancy seafood dinners there that are right out of the ocean. Or you can get yourself a giant plate of pork nachos there that Jimmy Johnson himself favors. And as we said, this isn't like a barren wasteland underneath, Lubie, where it's all dry chips. And you're at that point where, you've consumed a couple of cocktails and, you're eating down to the bottom there and there's nothing. There are a lot of places like that, right? When the nachos come out, you go, whoa, look at that. And then it's all a facade. It's Bernie Madoff City here. There really is no money. There's nothing there, right? You got a bunch of guacamole on top. Once that's gone, it's finished. These are great. I mean, the way they do everything, so perfect. I mean, if you're thinking about like chicken wings and nachos and pizzas while you're watching the NCAA tournament, whether you're outside there at the Tiki Bar where they have a zillion screens or inside the Remodel Sports Bar or just hanging out by the pool and having a good time, sipping a couple of cocktails. It's good for families. It's good for individuals. It's good for young people, old, whatever it is. You're going to love Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. All right, speaking of food, the Gambling Gourmet coming up, and we'll continue with our Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday here on Ion Channel. Click on Ion Channel, and you'll see the Defo Show now firing at number 2 there, Libby. A rapid rise to the top of the Ion Channel offerings. Very happy to be in that spot with Jack Namer and his fine crew, Amy, and all of the good people. Brad's moved on a little bit, huh? Did you hear about this? He's into like some kind of, intercontinental, galactic sort of broadcasting now. I mean, they're really making advances here at Ion Channel, so very happy to be part of it. And coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time!
It's 8:47.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company. Call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
All right, we have the Gambling Gourmet with us, Mike Mayo.
Well, yeah, and you know me, when it comes to like pro football, I usually like to sometimes handicap games on which is the better food city. Where would I rather eat in? My mom, God bless her, 88 years old, and she follows some football. And we do a family pool where we make picks, and usually her is based on which city she would rather visit or live in.
Okay,
but college football, for me, it used to be. I always thought that the quality of the football team was in inverse proportion to the amount of teeth in the crowd. So, like,
grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here, Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. We welcome to the program his regular Friday gig here with us on the video and audio stream. Also has his own radio show here, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, where you get all kinds of information. And there still are available written transcripts of the, I would say, better part of 20 minutes where Mike Mayo taught you how to boil a hard-boiled egg, which... I told you, Mike, I just throw a bunch of eggs in the thing there. I wait like 20 minutes and I take them out. That's it. You had technique on this.
And that's why you have green eggs.
It's okay with me. I don't care. It's St. Patty's Day coming up.
Oh, okay, good. Have that. That's great. Good morning, Defo. Good
How
morning,
are you, man?
Lubie.
You all right? Everything good?
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I'm still kind of recovering and trying to shake off the horrific memories, images of Lubie eating his soft, runny scrambled eggs the other day at Grandpa's.
Disgusting. You're not going to demonstrate that today as part of your
it kind of put me off my food, and I was not going to have my usual eating segment today. But then I thought, well, maybe I will try to recreate it. But I did not make eggs. I'm going to have my usual yogurt with some granola this morning, but I'll do it Lubie style. It's like, and this is what he looked like. He's sitting there, we're talking, and not to say anything, but just like you, Defo, he orders wrong. We're there, it's like 1 o'clock, and he's like, I'm going to have a little bit of, I'll have some eggs and the home fries, which were very good. We love Grandpa's.
I liked it. Did a good job.
Sure, that's great.
The soup and the sandwich, half sandwich.
It looked good. I can't lie. Your
the way to go.
Really
so, here's to Lubie.
Yeah.
And
I hope you have a towel with you also. I mean, for the show purposes. I don't know I could do the whole show like that.
Would it bother you if I did the whole segment?
No, because I've seen Lubie eat, and the funniest ever. And Mustang was not familiar with Lubie's on-the-road eating habits, which food is a giant priority for Lubie. Yes. When he's on the road. In fact, at that time, he was, this was prior, I think, to even his first marriage.
Yes.
He was calling his parents on a regular basis with details of what he was eating. Yes. And they were like telling him, what? You didn't go to so-and-so's? And this is a guy who wanted to go in your type of MO, go to like Del Taco when we were in Dallas, Texas. And I'm thinking it has to be a steakhouse that would eclipse any kind of meal we could possibly
Tacos in
Texas.
Taco. Tacos in Texas are not a bad play because
this was Del Taco, though. This was a chain.
Del Taco doesn't suck. It was
very mediocre sub-Taco Bell type tacos.
One step above Taco Bell is Del Taco.
Del Taco, I don't know. It's close, man. I mean, if you have the green sauce,
it's better than Taco Bell.
But he's Mustang hadn't seen these atrocities that Lubie used to commit when he was eating, and the way he used to do everything. He doesn't dissect the food like he used to, like he was dissecting a frog in a biology class.
I've seen that before.
And then reassemble it, like he was putting together the bones of a dinosaur. But so we go to the Fisherman's Wharf. The first time the Mustang went with us, I think, might have been when we were getting married, actually, after the Super Bowl in San Francisco. And Lubie gets the crab sandwich, which he literally had on his forehead on a freezing day in San Francisco. And he looked exactly like you just did with your yogurt, quasi vomit, regurgitation there on your face. But other than that, I mean, you recovered from that, which is good.
I did recover from that, and I do have to say, I'm just slightly teasing. It wasn't that bad. I gotta say that Shirley has been a really good moderating force on him. He has become better behaved. I see some better eating habits than the pre-marriage or the in-between marriage Lubie. So yes, it's always good to have a meal with him. And then I don't know who's going to be, if anybody's coming out to the Cut Above later today for the live Friday edition of the Lunchbox. I think my man Jim Sarney is going to come out.
Oh, great! Yeah, we love Sarney,
one of my poker buddies. But anyway, let's get to the meat of the matter, because obviously the professor, and it was nice to have Mark Lawrence and have some serious actual scrutiny and analysis in between, because it's always tough when the to follow the professor directly.
He was rolling today. He really was.
I've been trying to up my game. I'm still wondering what happened to what's his name? The guy we saw the other day, Jersey Kyle. He's gone missing in action.
He claimed this is a good one. It relates to food, but I happen to know this. And I hope it's not a surprise to the people that are involved. But Jersey Kyle is taking a rather large contingent, I think, of either couples or women to celebrate his girlfriend's birthday. This is the girlfriend that he hosed like 40 years ago, and completely turned
all the
his back on her.
Karens.
Yeah,
Karen. It happens to be her name, Karen, and he really, I mean, fucked her over is not strong enough, wording to say what happened there.
Worse than A-Rod or
I mean, A-Rod is a lightweight compared to this particular turn of events, and so anyway, and 40 years later they're back together and they love each other, like no tomorrow. So he's picking up the tab for like 14. At a restaurant here in South Florida called Casa D'Angelo, which is
a nice restaurant.
A pricey number. I mean,
that's
I'm
heavy
figuring
duty
what
stuff. It's one of my
talking
favorite.
about $150 a head. I'm thinking minimum. So what is
if
that?
You're doing it right? Yeah, if you're doing it right,
that's like 2,100. Minimum. So the over under is 2,500 for the check.
And this
so
is why
what do you think?
But yet he still can't afford a computer, so he could come on the video.
Couldn't buy a laptop, didn't have time, because he was probably trying to borrow enough money so he could pay the check without facing the embarrassment of having his credit card thrown back in his face. Yes.
Well, maybe we should start a GoFundMe.
Is that ugly, Michael? When the guy comes to the table and the waiter says, "Sir, do you have another card?"
It's been declined. That is one of the worst things.
Oh my God! You were the first-time starter. Are you kidding me?
That is the most embarrassing moment. Second only to going to the ATM at the track and saying, "Sorry, you're no longer able to withdraw any more money."
Reached your maximum. Sure.
Yeah, that's definitely bad. But I think, Jersey Kyle, good for him. I didn't get my invite. You didn't get your invite. Speaking of not getting invites, the whole Visser thing and the crew going down to Pizza Spot, one of our fine sponsors, and then I saw that the response to you was they sent an email
Chip
to you.
Namias, who he's been a good friend of the show over the years, and a good friend of mine. Anytime he's in town, I always enjoy getting together with Chip if I can. It doesn't always happen. He's been living in LA, and he made it big with this promotion. He went from PR in sports to promoting sports movies and became like the leading guy. And there was an article about him and this other guy that was a heavyweight in that business. And Chip just mowed this guy down and made himself.
Oh, really? Good for him.
Real good guy. So he sent me an email. He said, anyway, you saw this.
Well, your excuse
Facebook.
is pretty lame also, Mr.
I have a new email address. But I can't access this old email. It got hacked.
Well, what I don't understand is now, like most people now just do a direct message on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. He could have hit you.
That's not my bag. You know this, Mike Mayo. I barely return a telephone call.
That's
I don't
true.
like to answer the phone. And, if I don't see anybody except the guys I know at the track,
you're
sometimes
good with that.
okay with that.
You're good with that. Well, I would have liked. I was otherwise occupied that night with a bunch also long lost friends and Brian White.
You were there before they got there, though, right?
Yeah, I stopped by to say hello, and I like to just drop by there sometimes late in the afternoon when it's real quiet and just have a beer and shoot the breeze with Wade and Reese. And they were gone for a week, and they're dealing with the whole fallout in a good way of the Portnoy Barstool Sports One Bite Pizza review. It hit, and even though even though the number and the rating wasn't as high as I think,
are they packed all the time now?
But now they were getting packed, and because Portnoy said very good, tastes great, and even though he was complaining about the bullshit,
it was a favorable review.
It was overall favor, and the guy, as much as he's saying, "Oh, it's not, it's too floppy," he's down in like half the pie. He was like, so people could tell
he shoveled that whole
liked
pizza in his face.
And
he looked like Lubie.
And so before they went on their regularly scheduled every 3-month hiatus for a week, they were packed that week. And I heard there was waits of up to 90 minutes because there's only one oven. And, again, it's like going to La Tub for the burger. The grill at La Tub is small. So when it gets crowded, it gets backed up. Same thing now, Pizza Spot. But good things come to those who wait because it's excellent pizza. And even Chip and his crew appear to like
Wesley
it.
Visser, Connie Coopersmith.
Yeah.
What was mine?
Connie's great. Yeah.
Cooperstein.
Call me.
Yeah.
I answer my phone.
No, I was a mile away.
Fudge Brown, long time.
Fudge, love to see.
Man, that's a great group.
And your man, Greg Cody, one of the distinguished columnists, and now a big part of the Levitard shows.
Huge in the whole Levitard empire. Yeah. So, it was a fun crew. I would have liked to have dropped by, but I was over at that Tarpon River Brewing and having lots of beers with a bunch of old colleagues from the Sun Sentinel and the guy Brian White, the guy who's responsible for me eating and liking Skyline chili. He first introduced me because he's a native Cincinnati, Ohioan. And anyway, that was good stuff. But let's get to the meat of the matter because let's face it, Defo, it's almost the weekend. We want to get out of here. We're going to do our shows. I'm going to do the lunchbox, and then I'm going to try to get up there and hit up with you guys at your
you should definitely be
Parimutuel because it is a Good Friday routine.
Nice.
Great routine.
But I do have to let off some steam. And, the professor has gotten me all, I have to raise my game. So here we go. I've got a top 5 list this week.
All right. Very nice.
This is the top 5 things that drive me nuts. And because, sometimes I get pretty upset about
You get a little cranky. You do.
I have that cranky gene. So
Yeah.
Without further ado, the top 5. And number 5 is...
I like this with graphics. Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
move that slightly towards your face.
There we go. There we go.
My screen is being obliterated there.
Yeah. All right.
Well, so read
here
that to us here. I can't see it.
I've started to do some more research on the NHL now that we're heading towards the meaningful part of the season. Playoffs begin at the end of April. And, of course, we know what playoff time means. It's time for the Panthers to completely fall apart and fall
there you go.
places. But
there it is.
As I was looking at the standings, I noticed there was this thing called Kraken.
Yes.
So the thing
fentanyl was already taken by another team. Yeah.
And isn't Kraken like some sort of like conservative meme now that you have to release the Kraken and it means that it's going to
wasn't a Kraken a mythical creature? Isn't that what a Kraken is?
That's how it started. And
I
apparently,
thought it was something to eat. I really did.
No, Kraken, it's a mythical creature. And again, I didn't realize. So bizarre NHL teams that I didn't realize existed is the number 5 thing that drives me a little nuts. And there is apparently an actual NHL franchise named the Seattle Kraken. But in the last couple of years, I think the conservatives and the Trumpites and the MAGA crowd, they were saying release the Kraken. It was a way to kind of agitate Democrats. If you Google Kraken or release the Kraken, so it's kind of strange to me. Not only that there is something called the Seattle Kraken, but that it's now become a political symbol. All right, that's
all right. That's a good one. Seattle Kraken inaugural season this year, and I don't know. They seem like they're having a hard time.
Is it the inaugural season? So I don't feel that far behind it.
Inaugural season of the Kraken. Yeah, they came
because there's not enough mediocre NHL teams that.
Well, you know what? Look at the Las Vegas Knights, which that was one of my. I have to put that on a semi bucket list. If I live long enough, I would like to go to a hockey game in Las Vegas, even a midweek regular season game, because the atmosphere there is fantastic. And if you're a sports fan, you want to see and be a part of that kind of show where you get that kind of buzz and kind of an electrifying feeling while you're in the crowd.
Not all non-traditional market teams are, an aberration or a whatever you call it. They're not all bad. I mean, Tampa Bay Lightning has now become the cream of the crop, and I don't know if Tampa necessarily deserves that status, but hey, good for them.
I was there at the groundbreaking. I actually had a TV show, where we had to cover the groundbreaking for the arena, which never did get built. And it was great because Phil Esposito was the face of the franchise when he first got the franchise license, and we're going to come into existence. And he's at a press conference where they all have shovels there. They're putting gold shovels into the ground, and he's insisting there is no Japanese money involved in his franchise. None. Zero. And then we go to another place following.
No collusion.
Right. We're
No
following
collusion.
Esposito, and we're at a sushi parlor with like 16 very wealthy Japanese who I think had a big piece of the team. So, a lot of fugazi circumstances in the NHL. It's a renegade league. All right. That was number 5 on the
number
Mike
5.
Mayo
Number
list.
4 in
Things that
honor of
annoy
the
you.
impending NCAA tournament is
Bracketology. Okay.
Bracketology.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And here's my bracket upcoming. It's going to be Duke versus Duke. All the Dukes. I'm just circling Duke in honor of Professor's favorite coach, Mike
he loves
Coach
Coach K, yeah.
Krzyzewski. So I you know what? I've never gotten into these bracket pools, and
No?
no.
What's
I'm
wrong with
just-
you? You're a degenerate gambler.
Call me a half-baked degenerate. You know why, Defo. I like things. I'm Mr. Instant Gratification. I want to know whether I'm a winner or a loser within 2 minutes.
Okay.
And horse racing is perfect for that. Highlight a little bit better, but definitely more aggravating with all the humans and
What about the mutts?
fixing
Were
involved.
you betting the mutts when they were running?
Oh, that was great. 32
Yeah.
seconds. You can't
Dogs
beat
are in
that.
the box. Yeah.
And but things that take, sometimes I could tolerate a single football game. That's 3 hours. But when you have to watch something unfold over a course of weeks, that
Yeah.
seems like months, and sweat out all those buzzer beaters or whatever. I just don't like it. But anyway, bracketology, it annoys me. Duke versus Duke. Duke will be your winner.
I've never been very good at the NCAA bracket competitions. I might have cashed in a couple of pools, but that's over like 50 years, maybe 2 wins. It is amazing, though. The cleaning lady always wins. And I thought the reason that you stayed out of it was similar to our thought process on this, which was that the sports guys always end up looking like fools.
Yep.
Right. And somehow, like the food editor ends up winning the NCAA.
Right. You know what?
bracket,
Maybe
or like the music critic, and the sports guys like you and Hyde and Sarney and all of these guys supposed to know stuff. You end up in last place.
And that's why the sports guy like me is now the food guy, because I got drummed out. But I think I'm going to, I am going to fill out one bracket this year, and I'm going to use the gambling gourmet angle of which college,
food, yeah.
which city, which college town I'd rather be in to eat a meal. And
then you have to also know what city the teams are from. Like Belmont, I mean, you would think was from New York, but like West Virginia.
I like your track angle on that, though. But
I guess
it means Xavier. Is Xavier going to be in the tournament? Because then Xavier, which is Cincinnati,
it's Skyline Chili Country, right?
So.
All right.
Number
that was
3.
number 4. Number
That was
3.
number 4.
Things
Number
that
3
annoy the
thing
gambling
that drives me nuts is green beer.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. 1,000%.
We got St. Patty's Day, and the professor is wrong. Guinness is good, and
no, it's awful. It's
You are
one
one
of.
of
I'd rather go to the beach and get a cup of sand than pour it down my throat like it was a Rheingold beer from the past.
So green beer is gross. It just looks all wrong, and I think Shamrock Shakes are gross. I think anything green that's not lettuce or a vegetable should not be consumed. I mean, green icing on cupcakes is just fucking weird. Green
M&Ms are the worst.
Green M&Ms are the worst. There cannot be any kind of naturally occurring substance, that they're using to make and color these.
What about mint chocolate
substances.
chip ice cream, though?
That's great, but you know what?
Yeah.
Not when it's green. I only like the white ones. And Breyers
is green.
The Breyer. No, it
isn't.
They
have a white one.
Breyers
also,
is the.
White.
In my mind, the pinnacle of mint chocolate chip ice cream, and it is pure white because mint is not green. It's just something that people associate. They think it's green.
Is Breyers underrated? I mean, by today's standards.
I think their natural vanilla is
great.
Is an
the best.
excellent flavor, and their mint chocolate chip is an excellent flavor. And when it's BOGO at Publix, I stock up on them because I'm.
But you've already exposed that as a complete ripoff.
Nah, but
no. When BOGOs aren't bad, the Publix BOGOs
because they raise the price
when it
but
even
they give you 2.
They don't pound.
Even so, even if they raise the price of the container of Breyers from $5.50 to $6.50, you still, when you could get 2 of them for $3.25 each, it's okay. And just to clarify about Guinness, you think it's awful.
I can't stomach it. I really
Guinness is one of those misunderstood beverages, because the same way that Skyline chili is not really chili, it's just Greek spaghetti sauce. And if you think of it in that way, it becomes more palatable that you think of it. It's a topping. But Guinness is not actually beer or whatever they call stout. It's actually carbonated coffee.
So if you just think of it as carbonated coffee, because the
Is
flavor
that really
of
what it is? I mean, are you just,
no, but
you
if you break down what it tastes like a combination of like coffee grounds and a little bit of hint of maybe chocolate, and it's that dark, smooth with a little bit of carbonation, not too much. And Lubie is making a face.
And go have a Budweiser.
What
Forget
is all
about
this
this
math
Guinness.
when they're eating?
Have a Guinness after a workout, man. I mean, why not just, as I said, pour Valvoline down your throat?
No, if you'd rather have that Bud Light, which is actually
Same thing
like
with your Skyline
formaldehyde. I think they actually
no, the
put
Bud Light is
formaldehyde.
out. I want a regular Budweiser, man. It's the best drink after any kind of workout, my friend.
All right, my opinion of you and your taste have gone up just slightly because regular Budweiser is an
I'm not a fan of light beers and beers with no alcohol in them. They now have an ad campaign for Heineken, like Zero or whatever it is, with no alcohol. What is the point of consuming a drink that makes you fat that doesn't give you a buzz? 0 point. That's what they should put. They should print a warning on the label that you will, you are criminally insane if you think this is a good idea to drink this, vile stuff.
But I think it's pretty pointless. It's for recovering.
You were drinking some, like 7.8,
and it had a sports theme. It was good over
and it knocked you out for 2 days, which I like. Not that you were knocked out, but I mean, I like the fact that you overindulged.
It was over at Tarpon River Brewing, and it's a New England style IPA that they named Deflated, which I think is pretty funny. It's a little bit of a shot at the whole.
Well, I'm surprised the professor if he was aware of that beer, he would have incorporated into it his
pretty good beer.
Rather negative remarks about Boston. All right, so we're up to what? Number 2?
Number 2 of the things that drive me nuts is stupid, ever-changing arena names. Because believe it or not, it's no longer the BP&T Center. So here we have the names of all the places where the Panthers have played over the last 20-something years. It was the National Car Rental Center, which people got confused. They went their cabbies would used to go there from the airport to drive people to pick up a rental car. It would be funny.
Also known as the Ncaa Center by a very
actually, it was the other way around. It was a sports writer in town from out of town. This was back in my sports writing days. He hopped in the cab from his hotel, said, "Take me to the National Car Rental Center," and the cabbie took him to the airport. So, and of course, it was the Office Depot.
I think you're going the wrong way. No, we got a shortcut.
Center, the BB&T Center, and then the bottom line is this arena has had more names than the Panthers have had playoff appearances.
Yes,
so,
there you go, Mr. Sourpuss. Unbelievable. Again, denouncing what's an
doing-
outstanding season. They lost those 3 games in a row. You came with a pitchfork, Mayo.
Right, and now they've won 5 in a row, and
just
they've
because
looked
Doug
great.
Seafood tried to make a fool of you on Twitter. Unbelievable. They're playing great. I mean, if they don't win a playoff series this year, we'll go right back to Skyline Chili.
We're going to be making some wagers. This is going to be fun. And you can't spell Doug Seafood without FU. So
our friend Josh Booty has this new app out too, where you can lock in wagers, make them like officially registered that you're just making with your friends. So the Skyline Chili thing would be on record. And therefore, I would be subjected to shame if I ultimately welched on the bet, which I
well, when are we doing?
Normally would have every intention of doing.
How does next Wednesday look for you?
Wednesday might be today, although it could be rough with the panic that normally accompanies the Mustang anytime we're taking a trip the next day. Yeah.
Oh well.
Because I have to be the guy that assembles the wheels on the dresser, so we can just wheel that right to the airport.
I will. I will
5
buy.
days we're going to be on the road.
I will buy and bring the extra ammonium, the extra strength ammonium to you after the Skyline Chili. But usually Skyline Chili, it just clears itself out within 3 hours. Or
I'm
less.
not worried about the gout with that. I'm worried.
Not the gout, my friend. It's the diarrhea.
Or about like kidney stones. Yeah.
All right, let's get this.
Maybe my liver might be damaged there. I got to go Birch Sugar. I'd rather be a good liver than have a good liver. All right, number one.
Number one
annoys Mike May on the Gambling Gourmet.
Drive me nuts. Number one is Wordle.
I haven't gotten into that. Now, what is that all about?
Tried it? I haven't even tried one.
I don't even know what it is.
And this is my opinion of Wordle. There is WTF. That's my guess every time. What the fuck is Wordle? All these people. I call me old fashioned. I loved the jumble every day. It had, the little words that you would put together, and then you would get the circle letters that you'd have to come up with the ultimate answer with the little cartoon. And I love that little cartoon, the jumble, the daily jumble that was in newspapers. I don't know if anybody out there remembers what newspapers were, but on the comics page, there was something
ink
called
on my hands right
jumble.
now, like it's bloodstain.
Now, this guy in Brooklyn came up with this new word puzzle game called Wordle. I think he just came up with it, at some point during the pandemic and started making it a thing in December. 2 months later, the New York Times company buys it for him for $6 or $7 million.
Wow.
So, there's hope for all of us, but I still don't know what the fuck it is, how you play it, how you solve it. All I know is like some of my geeky friends are on there every day. They're posting their little grids and these yellow and green square. I don't know what it means. And I think you have to like solve it and try to figure out what word it can be in 6 tries or less. But I don't know what word it can be because all I see is fucking blank squares. So that's
and here's another negative, right? When we grew up on the streets of Brooklyn, right, you were outside. You would manufacture games on your own, whether it was various hybrid games of baseball, marbles, anything, skelly. You're out in the streets playing and using your imagination to try and make things happen, and entertain yourself. And now, unfortunately, this is just another way and means where people spend their entire time just looking at their little phone.
Yep.
And I think it's part of what's sort of weakening the human condition. This whole tendency to do that. Excellent stuff, though, Mike Mayo. You came up on the fly with something. I mean, in your quest to be on equal footing with the professor here, you're doing a hell of a job, I think.
Trying to raise my game there, Defo and Lubie, because that's what this show is all about.
Yes.
Striving to just do better every day. It's like the Olympics, Citius, Altius, Fortius, higher, stronger, faster, or in this case, higher.
Higher
we always try to get
is a
higher.
big key. Yeah, I mean, to this show, trust me. It's hard to do an hour without stopping, unless you have a little bit of a buzz going. That's for sure. Michael, okay, we'll see you at a cut above later on. The people locally here, it's situated right there in Fort Lauderdale, a very famous area. It's also known as Lubie Eats. And a perfect way to send us off on a Degenerate Friday with a nose full of yogurt. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, ladies and gentlemen. For Mike Lubitz and all the people at Ion Channel, thanks. Another great week. Had a lot of fun. I hope you guys got some good insight there. Mark Lawrence was brilliant. Professor, once again, you can Google the Defo Show, catch the entire archives of the Professor's Big Board, which, how does he do it, Lubie?
Every week.
Wow, he killed it again this week. Now, I don't know if he blew out all of his Boston sports material to avoid having to use that in the future, because he's already done the thing as the top thing about I guess it would be the nuisance of St. Patty's Day and having to honor the Irish on that day. And he's right. Any other time of the year do you go, oh boy, corned beef and cabbage?
No. I don't mind it, but I would hope
it was a dish my mother made, and she did it very well. So we used to have it on occasion.
Yes.
And, as like a regular dinner, as part of the, somewhat of a rotation of dinners she made. And, I liked it. I'd have to say, the boiled cabbage was great.
But I'll admit it's not good. Like, it's not appetizing. You're not like, oh my God, you know what? I could really go for corned beef and cabbage.
A dish from the past that you never see? Rhubarb. Did you ever eat any rhubarb? Man, rhubarb used to be like a dessert. Rhubarb.
I never had that. I mean, that's more
kind of weird, man. All right. Speaking of weird, we'll see you again on Monday. A lot of fun. We also have our Believe podcast. And, that gets posted about 11 o'clock.
Today's going to be Adam Richmond.
Okay.
Today. Brandon Lane was
very good.
But he's dealing with some stuff. He's going to come on next week to promote the tournament. But today's Adam Richmond, the food guy, the guy that eats after everyone's heard anything and everything. He's our guest today on Believe Network.
Okay, that sounds good. Mike Lubitz, that's always a lot of fun. 5 Reasons Sports Network carries segments of the show, and that's been a very popular hit there, Scoop Skolnick's outfit. And I talked to Jack yesterday. Big things on the horizon here, Mike Lubitz, as always the case. And we're looking forward to doing some very special things for you here. And appreciate you guys watching our Degenerate Friday edition. Mark Lawrence, terrific. Professor Mike Mayo coming up big, I had to say.
was great.
You know, you never know what Mayo's going to do, but I like the fact that he's taken the pie in the face approach to broadcasting, right? Because there's nothing better than seeing a guy get hit right out of the chute with a pie. And with that thought, we'll see you guys on Monday. You guys have a great weekend. I'll be leaving later in the week for Atlantic City, so we'll zero in a little bit more on the basketball tournament. Major League Baseball is going to be played. Spring training is going to open up. Wild period of free agency. You're going to be a very condensed session where everybody's trying. Who's going to sign Freddie Freeman, man? The Rays? Are you kidding me? The
Rays
Rays?
and Yankees have been very pronounced in their pursuit.
Yankees, man, have to be all over this. No, Harvey Fialkov, he may not be able to join us next week if they don't get Freeman. Be like bringing back Joe Pepitone there at first base. Unbelievable. All right. We'll see you guys on Monday. A lot of fun this week. Couldn't have had a better time. Thanks so much for tuning in, telling your friends about it. Google the Defo Show, Ion Channel. Click on the Defo Show, and bingo, you're set to go. The audio supposedly is taken off. Jack tells me numerology is strong there. So
Nice.
Thanks to Doug and all the people involved in that aspect of the business. And the world is our oyster here. Not to trigger a case of the gout, but nonetheless, that's where we stand right now. So thank you, Ion Channel, for all of that. Thanks to Hialeah, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, all our fine sponsors here on the show. And we'll see you Monday at 7 as we leave it now that.
The time.
It's 9:19.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.